claim you're African, you're gonna get your mind back.
Generalized black woman is doing this and being this. That is that is irresponsible.
No,
when
you claim you're African, you're gonna get your mind back.
Showing me,
black and proud. Claim you're African, black and proud.
I think that if
when you claim you're African, you're gonna get your mind back.
a page,
what is the status of people with half FBA?
I'm telling you. When you claim you're African, you're gonna get your mind back.
That's why I was laughing, because
I am claim you're African.
I'm not saying the framework doesn't do a thing, but
become a part of it.
We've been
forward to black men
become a part of
it. Being in the control, we
become a part of it.
Only
embrace it.
that those to me one of the best stories I've ever heard.
Embrace it. When you claim you're African, you're gonna get your mind
that
back.
mental growth takes place. You've been misled by leadership, for instance, that think that you can consume.
When you claim you're African, you're gonna get your mind back. Black and I'm proud. Claim you're African. Black and I'm proud. I'm telling you.
Peace and power, family. DAW back in the building, family. With, of course, our resident scholar. I think I found the term. Professor Shabazz, family. Make sure you come in the building. Make sure you like we got a special treat for you. I was just talking to a dear brother earlier today, and he was sharing how much he really appreciates Professor Shabazz in his breakdowns, especially our duos, as he called it. Make sure you come in the building. We got a special treat for you today. It's entitled Dr. Umar's Indigenous American Debate. Africans or Indigenous American. Let me get my tongue right. Hold on. I need to do some tongue exercises sometimes. Indigenous American DNA history or genealogy. But family, again, as I say, Professor Shabazz is in the building, and let's talk to him.
What's going on,
Brother
everybody? Peace. What's going on, cuz? Peace to everybody. Yeah, we're gonna get some things started tonight. I appreciate the information too. Whoever the brother was, it said gave me the compliments. I gave us the compliments. I appreciate that. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna be talking about Dr. Umar tonight. Not so much Dr. Umar, but about this topic. We were here first. The Aboriginal, the pretendians, the history deniers is what we're gonna talk about tonight. This is your brother Shabazz, and if you are coming in, like my cousin said, if you are coming in on either side of the channels, if you're on my channel, hop over to my cousin's channel and hit the like button over there and make sure you subscribe. And if you're on my cousin's channel, jump over to mine and hit the like button and make sure you subscribe. Peace to everybody in the chat. But what's going on, cuz?
Well, yeah, I definitely wanted to let you do all that and so to let the people know before we get too far into let them know a little bit about your platform and all the things and all the things you've been doing recently, so that they can kind of get an idea. Yeah. Family, make sure you like, share, subscribe. Make sure you share this video. It's going to be a good time, and we'll open up the line even today, perhaps. So when we say the line, you just hit the link and do your thing.
Indeed. Well, go ahead. Well, okay. Well, Brother Shabazz, that's the name I go by. My channel is The Proper Perspective. What I like to do is, for the most part, I cover things that are of interest and importance in the black community, in these online spaces. I like to do what some people call critical analysis, breakdowns. So I look at various conversations and movement and news stories, and it's provide further analysis. There's a lot of things that get floated around the community, especially when it comes to identity. So I have a long-standing series on identity crisis, where I challenge a lot of these online movements, the FBA, the ADOS, I cover the reparations movement. I cover basic news, Trump and the Epstein files, and all those things as it relates to and pertains to awareness, black awareness, the black community. So I do deep dives for the most part. That's a little nutshell. And I think I like to try to use from the perspective of a Pan-African lens, so to speak.
So to speak, huh? So to speak,
Yeah,
you say?
so to speak, so to speak.
Okay. I feel like I'm having a little. I'm hoping I sound good on your side, but because I'm having a little something going on. I'm not sure if it's a delay, and I just want to make sure it sounds good to the family before we get up in here. If we sound okay, if I sound okay, just give me a one. Cause what did I sound like on your side so far?
You sound fine. Like, I don't hear any
No echoes.
cracking, any delay, no echo, anything. It's sharp and crisp.
Okay. All right. So let's let me check. Let me get the link in the chat for the people. Make sure you come in and you like the video. But also I just want to add that I have some special things going on that I'll be actually sharing with you all pretty soon. I got some exclusives coming out as it pertains to much more of this FBA and this, let's say, this Freedman type of situation that I hear people starting to promote more lately, more recently. Because to me, I think we have to be real careful, especially when people bring Freedman before us as well. I'm not saying that there's no historical relevance to it, but yeah, you have to ask the question: why are we using Freedman all of a sudden? And why is Tariq Nasheed does it? You know, Tariq Nasheed has used Freedman, and he interchanges that with FBA, and other people are picking up on it. You know what I mean? So, and also bringing certain people to their platforms. Understand that everything is intentional. Everything is intentional. These people are doing things. They're being very intentional, even if they don't want to do it themselves. I'm just going to be real frank. So I got some things coming out to break down the movements like Freedman, the movements like ADOS, those who seem less problematic, especially like Freedman, because they intellectualize a lot, but really there's still this Afrophobia. There's still, although they say they don't have it, but oh no, I've watched it a bit. I talked to my dear brother Tahaka Bay. He told me a little bit about it, but then I really started to look at it for myself, and I said, "Whoa, it's there." They just try to disguise it. So though there's some historical relevance and accuracy, why are you using the term now? There's all types of things like Solon and different titles that people try to use to get away from the same old. I think I'm hearing some feedback. I hope I'm all right, y'all. But so I'm going to go ahead and, Brother Cuz, are you saying something?
No, I'm typing, but I ain't saying nothing.
Okay,
I think I'm typing.
I'm gonna have to figure something out because something is happening on my end that I'm hearing, and it sounds like. But long as you all are good, I can manage it. I just want to make sure the chat is good. Put ones for y'all. Put ones in the chat if there's no feedback on your end, no problem with hearing us and that type of thing. All right, so let's go ahead and get started then, because I was looking today and I saw this video come up on YouTube. It's entitled Dr. Umar Johnson, Black Identity Native. Let me see. Ancestry and DNA debate. So that's what it was entitled, right? And let's see if I can do here. Okay, so I'm back. Okay, so yeah. So this video came up on my thread today. So we're going to go ahead and get started by playing this a bit, and we'll dialogue. Please dialogue in the chat, and let's break this down. Can you hear that?
No, if it's started, I can't hear it.
Okay, let's see here. All right, so I can. Okay, so yeah, I moved my office today, y'all. I moved my setup, as you can see, and I'm just trying to make sure I have everything working. Not sure why this isn't working, but let's see here. Let's see. That's on. Let's see what I got here. Okay, let's see what we got here. I think I can figure this out pretty quickly. It's probably more of external headphones. Oh, that's already there. That's already there. That's already there. So let's see. Oh, I think hold on. You know what? I know what the problem is. Okay. Now there we go. There's definitely something going on my end. And there's definitely something going on my end. Let me see if I can. Okay. This is okay. There's some feedback, y'all. Let me see if I can mitigate that problem. I think so, because I'm going to try to figure it out. Let me see what I can do here. I'm going to turn this up. Okay, let's see here. Let me see if I'm coming through everything right. Let's see if I'm coming through everything correctly. Yeah, I moved my studio, family, and it was a lot of work. I'm actually still working on it. And Pro FX, that's coming through there. That's coming through there. That's coming through the right speaker. That's fine. Let's make sure I don't have anything else coming through this one. Let's see what I got going on here. Yeah, I'm using multiple computers, so please bear with me for a second as I figure this out. All righty. Testing. Okay. Why is that happening? Testing. Let's try it now. Let's see what happens here. Okay. Now that is interesting. Well, do you hear that?
I can hear it. It's low.
It's low?
Yeah.
Let's see here.
All of them.
Okay, let's see.
Okay.
Can't nobody prove that we came from Africa.
What now?
You can't prove
That's better.
My mother told me so. How can you prove I came from Africa? You can't tell me I came from a country I know.
You can hear that?
Yeah, I can hear that.
Is it clear though, or is it? It sounds pretty fast, but I'm gonna slow it down. But was it clear though? Was it loud enough?
It was clear. Now, if somebody else in the chat can say whether or not it was loud enough, I could hear it, but I'm familiar with it, so I kind of know what they were saying. I didn't listen to it several times.
Okay. Oh, that's cool. Okay, cool. All right. So if you can hear it, I think they can hear it. And I'm not sure. And my mic still sounds all right?
Yeah. Lord of Slaughter said fast and low.
All right, let's try it out again. All right. Oh, you know what? It must be like a period of time that's kind of.
I'm indigenous to this land.
You know what? It must be like, okay, it must be the clip itself.
This is my story.
I'm not going to make that claim. You stated that I'm working with white folks, and you can't prove that.
You got white sympathy. You just said that.
What the f does that mean? It's white people who sympathize.
What does it mean?
It's white.
Great.
I have no idea why they're doing that, but all right. So at this particular part of the clip, family, it's someone on Joe Rogan's podcast, and I have no idea why it's not necessarily playing at this moment. Like there's no volume on it at this moment. Maybe Joe Rogan clipped it.
And 56 great grandparents
Uh-huh.
How many of those 256 for you are Native Americans?
All of them.
And you know this how?
Because can't nobody prove that we came from Africa. You can't prove a vote because my grandmother told me so. How can you prove I came from Africa? You can't tell me I came from a country I know, a country I know nothing about.
Pretty African.
So basically, you're Native American because nobody proved you're
I'm indigenous to this land. This is my story.
I'm not going to make that claim. You stated that I'm working with white folks, and you can't prove that.
You got white sympathy. You just said that.
What the f does that mean? It's white people who sympathize.
What do you mean? What does it mean?
It's white people who it's white people who are Pan-African. That's a problem. Dr. God is just a whole democratic establishment. It's a Pan-African. You guys are not serious. What are you talking about? Have the same energy with your people.
No, but I respect you, brother. You're still brother.
Yeah, no, we still brothers. I think we just got different ideology. So if you're talking about Hillary,
I can respect that.
Yeah, like you got
peace with an ideology based on the division of Africa.
see. So look, when it comes to unity, right? Like if I could accept the fact that I'm a different African, right, or I'm a different. Listen, this. Oh, so listen, Prince, if you're not going to recognize, you just recognize all these people different. Yo, you just recognize all these Africans with different cultural views based on your American experience. And now I can't have. I don't have. And now apparently I don't have enough.
Cuz, can you hear that?
I can hear it. It's still kind of low.
Okay. All right. So it's still kind of low. Can you talk?
Let me pull it in on mine.
So far while I try to get it correct.
Okay.
All right.
Let me try to see now. What section was that? Well, okay. So
I'm saying, do you have anything about what is just recently said so far?
Yeah, I got a little bit.
If you do that, I'll get everything straight over here.
Okay, so well, let me just say this out the gate. A lot of tonight's conversation, a lot of what was going on in this clip that we'll be playing tonight, can almost be boiled down to this one thing. Do you even believe that the Ma'afa? Do you even believe that the transatlantic slave trade is real? Do you believe that it actually happened? Because this is something that they're gonna circle around a lot. Now, if you don't, I don't know that there's a lot of help for you. But this is the thing that's going on between Dr. Umar, the brother that's speaking, and I think his name is Ernie. I'm not too sure, and I believe the sister's name is Nakia. And in one section, there's the brother, and I think he's talking to Joe Rogan, and he uses one of those famous phrases that we throw around in the conscious community. You know, his story. It's not our story. It's his. What about my story? Is my story valid? Now, back in the day when we used this, we were actually talking about real, authentic scholasticism, scholarship about our story as Black people or African people and our connections to the continent. Nowadays, these FBAs, these pretendians, even the Freedmen, they're using the cover of these sound bites to disavow all of the historical research. And so you have these group of people who they no longer believe that the slave trade is real. They don't believe that, for instance, the historians who have put together the online database called Slave Voyages, they say it's phony. It's all made up. And when you ask them, well, how do you debunk a fact? You got to have more facts. When you ask them, what's your evidence? I don't have any evidence. I don't need any evidence because family, we always been lied to. That's not an evidence. Now, the Slave Voyages database has roughly 36,000 individual voyages. They have ship manifestos. They have insurance papers. They have port records. They have captain's logs. The traffickers, they Now, yeah, this is the truth. They counted us like cargo. They counted our enslaved ancestors like cargo, and they kept books. And historians have found these books and preserved these books and put these books together in archives. 12.5 million people were forced onto ships. 10.7 million survived the crossing. Those are real numbers. Now, I'm going to keep coming back to this. We'll keep circling around this because, especially Nakia, she doesn't believe it's real. Now, once you start denying the facts, once you start denying well-documented historical research and records, everything else that you have to say is problematic and questionable, even if what you have to say sounds reasonable. And so, going back and forth between Dr. Umar and Nakia, and like I said, I think the brother's name is Ernie. If you come down to this thing where you just don't believe facts, yeah, we're going to have a problem. Now, one of the things that Dr. Umar brings up is this idea of our generations. And this isn't a black thing, an African thing. This is just humanity. So there's this number. Now, I don't know if it's absolutely 100% correct, but there's this number that gets tossed out. Every person on the planet has 256 ancestors. We all go 8 generations back. Now, and that's okay, that's a relatively fair statement. That's a relatively safe statement. The point of the statement is, if you truly believe that you don't have any African ancestors, then you have to account for all of your ancestors. You can't just stop at grandma. Well, my grandma said we weren't from Africa. What about who came before your grandmother? Now, in this heated conversation, Umar is going to ask this question, I think, multiple times. Because when you hold on that's a claim. When you say, well, my grandma said, that's not a actual, that's an anecdote at best. That's not a statement or a claim about evidence. That's a claim built, constructed, believed in, promoted in such a way so that evidence no longer matters. Now, perhaps we're entering the realm of faith. And it's tantamount, it's equivalent to somebody trying to tell you, I got an invisible dragon in my garage. Now, you can't disprove the invisible dragon. But the thing about invisible dragons is the burden is not on the person who hears this story. The burden is on the person who makes that claim. So I want to make sure, you catch the drift I'm saying. If I tell you that I got an imaginary dragon in my garage, you can't disprove me. And I get to walk around like, see, I told you so. You can't prove me wrong. And so that's what I mean when I say a belief, if it's engineered so that nothing could ever count against it, that's not an actual debate. That's not a system of qualified knowledge. That's just wrapping your feelings into a sealed room. Now, a lot of times I say facts over feelings. You are allowed to feel however you want to, but you're not necessarily entitled to your own facts. Facts have to stand the merits of testing and analytical puzzle making. Now, nobody in this conversation can actually trace their family. Well, let me say it this way. Even if you are a genealogist and you're looking into the vast majority of African Americans' history, whether you call yourself a FBA or you call yourself a Freedman or you call yourself a DOS or an African American or Black American, these ethnicity labels, whether they're credible or not, they do not diverge from, they do not trump facts. They do not trump genealogy. They do not trump the historical record. So all of us share a few things, especially as African Americans or Africans in the West. Because if you go down to Jamaica and the Bahamas, any of the Caribbean island nations, if you go to South America and you pull up on Black folk who descend from the Transatlantic Slave Trade, we all encountered the same thing. Well, we could trace our family back to the 1800s. Most of us hit a brick wall. Now, once you hit that brick wall, that doesn't mean you don't have any more ancestors. That means there was something going on with the documentation. Now, therein lies a bit of a gray area, because if you want to believe some things that you cannot prove, I mean, nobody can stop you. You know, people have their religious beliefs. You can't disprove those. People have their spiritual beliefs. Can't disprove those. So you can believe that your family comes from Krypton. But the facts remain what they are. Now, when you're tracing genealogy, you get back into the 1800s and you start hitting what they call a brick wall, in particular for African Americans. And that's something that doesn't feel good. That's something that's frustrating if you're doing that research. But that's just the truth. That's the facts. Now, I'm gonna pause for a second and see what's going on in the chat. Lene Vanta Entertainment. Let me see. Hold on. I'm gonna try to get back and see. Let me go from the top. Lord of Slaughter. So this is an interesting conversation. Lene says Umar doesn't listen to anyone. He got the elders' blessings in Chicago. Which elders gave Umar the blessing? I'm curious. Lord of Slaughter says, but a public announcing, unless he complies, will significantly hurt his image. This is true. And I dare say, enter into the record, the recent fiasco that popped off about his daughter or his daughters. I think that really hurt him, his credibility and his standing. But it to the point where if he receives another blow, it might be the death blow for him. Lord of Slaughter says, see how the pretendian called him Prince? I did catch that. As if Pan-Africanism is a monarchy and sullying our image. And that's something, again, he's been carrying the moniker for so long, and he's been relatively unchallenged. Most times when he uses it, nobody in the room challenges him.
Testing.
So yeah, they will start shortening the name and just call him Prince. Not a good look.
Testing. Can you hear me, cuz?
I can hear you.
All right. Yeah. So what I'm going to do, if I can, you've been rocking off. What I'll do is see if we can just go ahead. Tell me if you can hear this.
How many people do you think were brought over from Africa on slave ships?
Loud and clear.
That happened.
Much better.
I don't believe it. What do you mean you don't?
There's no footage to it, so we can just play the audio and we'll pick it back up next time. You want to finish with what you were doing? I just wanted to test that out.
That's cool. I mean, we go ahead. I was just at this point. I'm just reading some comments.
Okay. So all right. So we're gonna rewind it then, and start from the beginning.
Okay.
And family, make sure as you come in, you like, share, subscribe on both stations. The Proper Perspective and Dr. Dennis Assar Winkler. All right, we're gonna get this thing started, right, family. Thank you for your patience. As you can see, I moved my setup to the other part of my office, in my other office, and so the technical difficulties. Thanks for your patience, but let's get it started.
I don't believe that story, but I'm still confused. There's a great history of how many people do you think were brought over from Africa on slave ships? Because that definitely happened. I don't believe it. What do you mean you don't believe it? I don't believe that story, But I'm still confused. There's a great history of slave ships being brought over from Africa with Africans that became slaves and worked in the South. So, do you think that's lies?
History is his story.
Right.
What about my story? Is my story not valid?
Every human being on the planet Earth has 200.
All of them.
And you know this how?
Because can't nobody prove that we came
No,
from Africa.
don't tell me what nobody can prove. No.
Because my grandmother told me.
How
How
does
can you prove I came from Africa?
do you have the
Yeah,
name?
I came from a country. I know the country.
The name that is pretty
So basically, you're Native American because nobody can prove you're not.
I'm indigenous to this land. This is my
But
story.
I'm not going to make that claim. You stated that I'm working with white folks and you can't prove
You just
that.
said you got white sympathy. You just said that.
What does that mean? It's white people who sympathize.
What do you mean? What does it mean?
It's
What
white
does it
people
mean?
If
If you're telling me that you got a problem with Africans, but you ain't got a problem with white folks, then you're not.
This
you're
is just
not
a setup.
committed to liberation.
You're
brother.
Pan-African. You guys are not serious. What are you talking about? I have the same
Brother.
for your people.
No, but I respect you, brother. We still brothers. All right?
Yeah, no, we still brothers. I think we just got different ideologies. So if you're talking about,
And we can respect that. And
Let me stop right there. I didn't want to go past it, but when I think about what he said here, like we just got different ideologies. Like I'm just trying to figure out. To me, that right there is telling in and of itself, cuz like the fact that you could say you still my brother, but you calling yourself a FBA or some kind of you're some kind of FBA or some kind of Indian or indigenous or I can't even say the word this late, indigenous or whatever it is, being
autochthonous.
It's hard to say when it's not late, but what is it? Autochthonous?
Yeah, I have a hard time saying it too. Autochthonous.
I need to see the word. You know what?
Yeah.
Let me not even say that because when I'm trying to pronounce it, when I see the word, it might get even more difficult. But maybe I need to see the word to kind of understand or pronounce it correctly. But nonetheless, she said, I'm from this land. He said that this is his ideology. Umar said, right. Now, the thing is, I agree if Umar has an ideology that he's calling Pan-African or Pan-Africanist or Pan-Africanism. But the reality is, no, your ethnicity in a sense, like if you're saying you are indigenous to this land, that's either a fact or not. There's no that's no ideology. Like FBA said, there's no ideology. But really, if you are indigenous to this land, there's ideologies that indigenous people practice. But no, you can't be like the sister, a Native American or indigenous person, and also be that be an ideology. You can't. And in fact, to be African is not an ideology. Now, we can speak to maybe there's some ideologies and ideological underpinnings, some ideological reasons why we call ourselves African. But in and of itself, they are not debating ideologies unless they're debating Pan-Africanism in some other form of some other movement or ideology. Like FBA is a identity paradigm with an ideology, maybe several of them, but no, you can't say that to be indigenous is an ideology compared to being African. What you say? You look like you got something, your eyes going up. Maybe I misunderstood something.
No, I mean, I tend to agree with you, but I also think that what they are doing with the indigenous label, what they are doing with the Native American label, with the Aboriginal, with the autochthonous, they're trying to turn it into an ideology. They're denying all of the actual factual information so that they can create this idea of who they are. I mean, yeah, in actuality, it's false. It's absolutely false. You might be, to some extent, you might be able to say that the FBA have a much stronger claim to the identity label that they created, because it's a lot easier to argue factually, I'm a foundation Black American, because you're still rooted in a certain type of under a certain umbrella of reality. When you start saying, no, I'm the Native American, you are departing from all factual things. But they're doing that deliberately, and they're trying to turn it into.
Well, the thing is, though, can you hear me? The thing is that if they say it's not an ideology, that right there in and of itself, then is when they also know this wrong. That is wrong. It's a belief system. It's something like I do get it, you know, but there can't be like I'm Chinese is not ideology. As I think someone put in the chat. I'm Indigenous American is not an ideology. I'm African is not an ideology. But like you said, there's an ideology that they're creating, and they're creating this false narrative, which is the ideology.
Right. Exactly.
Because it's not real.
Yeah.
I think that's what you're saying.
Yeah, it's definitely not real. They are literally trying to create it and just you know, find whoever they can to buy into it and carry the torch right along with them.
Right. Let me see some. So let's go back to it.
Okay.
Oh, you had something you was about to read?
No, I was gonna say Door of L got the pronunciation we were struggling with. All touch funness.
Oh, where is it at?
I put it on the screen there.
All touchness. All touchness. It's too late for that, family. I can't. I'm glad you broke it down. Touches. Look. Oh shit! Excuse my language. That's what it is. It's hold up. It's let me know if you can hear this.
Respect that. Like it's hard to be at peace with an ideology based on the division of African people.
See, so listen, when it comes to unity, right? Like if I can accept the fact that I'm a different African, or I'm a
how are you different, brother?
Listen,
the white man put chains on you, so now your genetics and everything is altered.
Friends, if you're not ridiculous, you just recognize all.
Why are you giving a white?
You said no. You put thumbs down.
No, I was trying to say it's low. I can hear it, but it's still low.
It's still low right now.
That last part was low. Sound lower than
There's so much power.
Yo, you just recognize all these Africans with different cultural views based on your American experience.
Yes, but it ain't based on slavery because all of them was enslaved. The Haitians wasn't enslaved. The Cubans wasn't enslaved. The Jamaicans. I'm not talking about no Jamaican history based on slavery.
Apparently, I don't have enough smart to
unique culture that grew out of their experience.
So
the Freedman ideology is based on what the white man calls you, what the white man did to you, what the white man thinks of you, and ultimately what you want the white man to do for you. That's why I have a problem with your ideology.
So listen, like you.
Umar Johnson, did you hear him say what he just said?
I heard it. Let me see. Posterior says yes, he can hear it. Lene says a little bit. Beat Active says sound is thumbs up. Lord of Slaughter says thumbs up. So it should be good for most people.
Okay, you know, did you hear what he said though?
I heard that part where he said it's hard to have peace with people that are like seeking division. I'm paraphrasing horribly.
Yeah, so he said what he said was it's hard to have peace, but he also what did he say that made me kind of like let me he said something. I'm sorry y'all, I'm dealing with these these technical difficulties got me multitasking.
Oh, he said it's hard to be at peace with an ideology based on the division of Africa.
Oh, people. What he said was FBA. He said Freedman. He started saying something about Freedman. Let me play it again.
Okay.
Prince, if you're not going to recognize, you just recognize all.
Why are you giving a white man so much power?
Yo, you just recognize all these Africans with different cultural views based on your American experience.
Yes, but it ain't based on slavery because all of them was enslaved. The Haitians was enslaved, the Cubans was enslaved, the Jamaicans. I'm not talking about no Jamaican history based on slavery.
Apparently,
I'm talking about based on a unique culture that grew out of their experience.
So
the Freedman ideology is based on what the white man called you, what the white man did to you, what the white man.
So he said Freedman culture is based on pretty much what the white man gave you. Now, I'm not sure when this was made, but you know why that draws a red flag for me?
Because I've heard him leaning into, I think I saw one, if not two videos where he started using the word Freedman as if he was using it as if he is claiming it. So
DAFA, DAFA.
Yeah, what was that one supposed to be? Descendant of, I don't know. What did he say? He said descendant of African freedmen of America or something like that.
Yes.
Okay.
Descendant. What is it, y'all? What is it? Descendant. Like, so I'm trying to, I don't know when this video just came out a few days ago. Right. But nonetheless, Umar's getting some things in. I must admit that. But I'm also saying that Umar be switching up and flipping things around. I don't know when this was created, but at this point, he said a freedman, blatantly out of his mouth, is those who are trying to get something from this white man in America. He's even asking, what else are you doing outside of trying to get things from this white government?
Thinks of you and ultimately what you want the white man to do for you. That's why I have a problem with your ideology.
So listen, like you just gave Africa a lot of grace when you recognized that.
You said a lot of grace. That's my mother.
You said that they have
and let's keep it
oppression.
Let's keep it about. They keep calling in all of this stuff an ideology. And I agree that it all is an ideology because it's not real. And what I mean is, I'm not saying when you start calling your ethnicity or your ethnicity or ethnonym or whatever you want to call it an ideology, it's very clear that you made it up. It's very clear that you made it up. It's very clear that there's a reason why you made it up.
Now you didn't give African Americans, Black Americans, I mean, let's say what you say, American Africans, that same grace. You're not recognizing.
What are you talking? No. I'm giving our people the same grace. I'm not giving your organization's platform the same grace.
No, you got to.
Because I do not think you should be forging. I do not think you should be forging a movement. I don't think you should be forging a movement that identifies with your oppressor, your oppressor's territory, or your oppressor's ideology, and that's what you're doing. There's nothing authentic.
Say that, Umar. That's the problem. So that's the.
You're reacting to white power. That's the. Okay, let me ask you this last question. What are y'all doing?
You're not going to keep.
Wait, brother. You didn't be quiet, bro. Listen. What are y'all doing? To make things better. What are you doing to improve the reality for the American African family that does not involve white folks? That's voting. That's reparations. What are you doing independently? Self-determination, self-reliance. What is your organization doing separate from white folks to make things better for our people? Give me something.
Yeah. So no, I was gonna say just respectfully, like I got a little bit out of character because you kept cutting.
No, it's okay. Don't worry about that. Answer my question, brother.
Yeah. Are you asking me?
Sorry, Umar wasn't falling for the bait for the fake apology. I mean, I gotta give it to Umar at least on that one. Umar is still a problem, family, but I gotta say Umar is not falling for the bait here, like with the brother with his false apology, trying to smooth things over. He understands debate tactics.
Your question, I'm about to give you my answer. I'm involved in a number of things. That's including advocating on fucking like the.
I want a specific. Don't give me no general. Give me a specific project that your organization is working on that doesn't require us to beg from white folks. Give me one.
So how about this? You come and meet us and work with us instead.
No.
Because you're a good talker.
Cut it out, I love you, bro. I want to point out my central contradiction with the African American tribal groups. And that's the Freedmen, the Pretendians, the ADOS, the phony Black Americans, all of that. I don't see nothing being done for our people.
Umar said, "What you got?" I saw your face. What you got for that? Is that his African American tribal groups?
I'd like that he said the phony Black Americans.
You like the last part, the phony Black Americans?
That phony Black Americans, yeah.
And what is? Help us out with that one.
That's the FBA. You know what I'm saying? He playing with the he playing with the F because phony ain't F, but you know what I'm saying? Phony Black Americans. And again, his whole assessment, these are all of the breakaway people. These are all of the runaway tribes.
Yeah, the phony Black Americans. That was good. That was pretty good. I gotta give King consciousness. King unconsciousness. King Kong unconsciousness. A little shout out for that. King Kong unconsciousness. He's doing a good job here. But he has some errors. He's letting some errors fly by, but I understand it's in the heat of the moment. But it's some other things I want to point out as well that I think that he and a lot of us have wrong, just in general when we speak about this African and indigenous stuff. Let's keep listening, family. Unless you have something else right here now, right? Because
let me say one thing real quick. Now, this is not necessarily directed towards the breakaway tribe thing that I'm saying, but I thought it was interesting when he's trying to challenge the brother on his organization. And I'm like, okay, this might be this is one of those times where I'm like, I may not necessarily, agree with what Umar's saying. But when he's trying to challenge him on what is your organization doing, and then he's couching his challenge with, I want to see what you're doing, but I only want to see what you're doing in such a way I'm not gonna count it if you tell me something that you're doing and I feel like that's just begging the white man, then I'm not going to agree that that's something worth doing. I'm not, I got a bit of a problem with that, only for maybe a small slither of a reason. I feel like it's, to some extent, it's a bad metric try to use as, how you verify, how you give someone credit on what it is that they're doing. If they got an organization and, if it's a legitimate organization and, if it's legitimate, they got goals, they got, their agenda and should have a clear methodology on how to go about that. And I'm like, everybody can't necessarily be working on the exact same thing. So I think that if you're setting up the metric to say it's only valid if it's a complete detachment from, the dominant society or working with white people, I think that's at least a little bit problematic. I don't necessarily see.
Is that what you got from him though? Is that what you got from what he said? Is that what they were talking about?
Well, I think now the larger problem is he was trying to get at what that brother is actually doing. The brother kept making references to, my organization and we doing this, that, and the other. Now, I really feel like the conversation kind of got garbled, and, because they were going at each other a little bit. And as that brother was trying to get something out, I think Umar sort of interrupted and sort of just gave him a caveat, like, don't tell me nothing that's begging. And so, because the brother says something about
what organization was it? I think
he said something about voting. Go ahead.
What organization was it?
Again, I don't know. He never really announced his organization, and I don't know if it's because they didn't get around to it. I don't know. I honestly don't know if this whole video. I mean, it's presented to us as one whole video.
Yeah.
At times, I feel like this thing has been cut up multiple
and put
different
together
sessions.
Yeah. Yeah.
And because they're having these kind of conversations that go in and out, and I'm like, so I don't it really felt like there was a larger conversation about whoever Brother Ernie is and what the name of his organization is and what they're doing. But what we receive, it's just not there.
Now I could be wrong, but I think the way I take it, and of course you probably actually studied it more than I did, just to be honest with you. I just listened to it, and but the way I take it is that I'm not sure if he's saying well, I don't even know what they're arguing now. You can help me out with that, but I'm assuming that this is supposed to be about FBA or ADOS or indigenous type of people or Americans, but most of them say these are ethnic labels. So, I mean, I guess I'm a bit confused about why a ethnic group is being treated as an organization. I mean, I'm not sure unless they're talking about ADOS. I don't know.
Well, I think one of the things that I think that's going on, at least like with the Freedman group.
Okay, the Freedman. That's probably what it is. Okay, got you.
They are, or at least how would I say that? Pockets of the Freedman group are actually trying to be more political. They're trying to like ADOS is honestly more concerned with making shifts and changes and adjustments to the law and to the administrative mechanisms, the census, the Census Bureau, and things of that nature. FBA is largely cowboy, wild, in the street, in your face culture war. Freedmen is sandwiching themselves in the middle. They want to be seen as serious political pundits. Some of them are actually, or at least I've seen them say that they are actually trying to run campaign and put people in office. And so like, and I forget the name of that brother, but you had sent me that other clip that we had a little small conversation about. And I was like, that's somebody from Sonetta. I've seen him in some other videos and stuff trying to talk this Freedman thing about trying to run for office in like maybe Georgia or something like that.
Formerly known as Lord Abba.
I could not get that name. It was on my tongue. Lord.
Formerly known as Lord Abba. Yeah. He was I think on Dr. Mayat's show the other day. And maybe her justification of the whole another spin on FBA. You know, the people, he's a charlatan. He this guy Lord Abba, and I'm gonna talk about this video that I saw on Dr. Mayat's show the other day, where I mean, like what I know is what people do is they tend to like bring these people on and don't say anything. They let the persons let the people speak to push the message they want pushed.
Right.
And I'm saying because I was a part of that, you know what I'm saying? Like you don't say nothing, I'm on the fence, you know what I mean? So you talk the Pan-African stuff I agree with, and then I'll bring on Lord Abba to be the person who I'll bring Lord Abba to present my position as it speaks to Freedmen. And that's the same thing that in Tariq Nasheed, you got to be very careful because Tariq Nasheed also uses the word Freedman. So I think that what they do, and I appreciate what you just brought forth just now because it does make sense. Because Lord Abba, or AKA, I think his name is Ali, he used to be everything. He was a Moor. He was a Sinetta. He think he's a historical character in Sinetta Station. He's been like everything. He was with Malachi Z. York. Like this guy's the guy that Dr. Mayat brought on the channel to express some things. You know what I mean? So I mean, look, Lord Abba. I mean, so I'm just saying. I just think that my dear sister's bringing Lord Abba on to somehow clear up and put out this message of Freedmen. Although we're talking about voting rights, but I'm gonna let him say some things about this. That I'm gonna do a whole another video on that family because it's the trickery that goes on and what we be trying to push out here. What we try to push out here on the people without you saying a thing out your mouth. And it's time to get off the fence, family. I'm sorry. It's time to get off the fence. And look, I know some people might not like that what I'm saying, but look, if Y'all can't act like I'm talking about my Pan-African brothers and sisters that y'all don't see what's going on. And of course, I got blocked because I identified what was going on over there, and I was hoping my sister could see the critique and make some change. But all she did was block me. Now, of course, what's going to happen is many of us in the community is not going to hold her accountable because of whatever type of relationship we have. Now, I thought that I could, I thought that, that she was more mature than that to block me. I mean, I had my doubts, but nonetheless, I was hoping that she could do better as a scholar who critiques lots of people. You know what I mean? But nonetheless, I'm saying this Freedman stuff that we're talking about is also a backdoor for FBA, is a backdoor for ADOS, is a backdoor for the Pretendians. They all talk about this thing. I'm not saying there's no historical accuracy in any of it, but what I am saying is what they're doing with it. And I have a whole clip. They're a little bit more, let's say, the Freedmans are a bit more tactful in their approach. And they're a lot more tactical and tactful in their approach. And you'll think that they actually are harmless and quite like ADOS is so it's like Freedman, ADOS, and an FBA. Freedman really try, we don't deal with the xenophobia stuff, but then turn around and start showing you all types of undercover xenophobic behavior. And I'm going to break it down in the video and show you how tricky it is. And because people got a lot of hurt when it comes to our brothers and sisters on the continent, they have a lot of hurt and pain when it comes to our brothers and sisters right here. They have a lot of hurt and pain with our brothers and sisters in the Caribbean. And you can hear, if you listen with an acute ear, that all these groups have some issues, including Dr. Mayat, with African people, immigrants, and all these people. It is very clear. I did a whole episode over there, and we were really debating about this idea about if Black History Month is for Black Americans or everybody. And it was a very interesting episode. So I'd say go over there and give a thumbs up on the video on Dr. Mayat's channel, because it was a very interesting episode that she and I did together. And we kind of had a clash a bit. And the clash was dealt with well. You know what I mean? Ultimately, she said we were saying the same thing. I know we weren't. She was because also I know we weren't, but I let her off, right? I didn't want to push up too hard, but go ahead. You about to say something? No. I'm talking to myself. Oh, you having fun all by yourself. Hey. But what I'm saying is I've seen it's easy to identify. There's some fear there to think that African people, UK Black people, and Africans are going to take our stuff. Go check that video out. Me and Dr. Mott did about 100 years of what is it called? Black History Month or African History Month or African American History Month. And basically, the argument, the disagreement was the intellectual impasse at some point was that Black History Month, from her perspective, in America is only for Black people globally. I mean, in America, those FBA people, those people that they identify as FBA, Freedmen, ADOS, and the like. And I am saying, and I suggest, and I argue that no. And you can see it, like it was like this implanting. Well, UK people got this, and I said, well, I don't know what, but I promise you that Black American people, African Americans, are the most popular group of Black people on this earth. And I promise you that if you go to these other places, a lot of them going to be saying Dr. Martin Luther King. And I went and did the research. Yes, there's a day in the UK, and there's been even debate around, because it was such an American holiday. The UK Black people were like, "Oh, come on now, can we get some love for our own people as well?" And that's expected, But it was all these. So anyway, the Freedman is another FBA cover up. is what Tariq Nasheed uses. I'm just saying I'm going to argue that you cannot be FBA. You cannot be that type of Freedman. And in fact, you just pulled this this word, this historical term, and then you're trying to identify as such. Like after what? How many hundred? What is it though? I mean, what? Hold up. How long? I mean, the word has never. They're trying to say this is what we were and this is what we were called. The Freedmen's Bureau and all this type of thing. And no, I mean, there's some truth to it, but it never. It was for a short period of time, from my research, if I recall. But we're trying to go back to it to delineate, to distinguish ourselves, which is totally unnecessary. First and foremost, we know this. You don't need any of these terms to distinguish an African American from a Jamaican American or a Trinidadian American or Nigerian American. Even if we all use the same terms, they're not going to just go by your label. There's going to have to be some. I mean, if any of this stuff happens in the first place, called reparation. Like, I mean, like we don't even, like, I know, cuz I know you're optimist. Yeah, I mean, look, me and Mike, look, he and I need to debate on some things, but we but I will say is I do appreciate the breakdown. As far as I think that you're right, though, when it comes to these people, particularly because when it started off, we had some technical difficulties, and he first started off talking about Freedman. So I think you're right, and that's why he's saying that, and that's why he's arguing against this. Freedman, what are you doing? Because they are operating as more of a political type of movement, although they also identify themselves as Freedmen. So yeah, you know, it's at least they're being honest to some degree. You had something, cuz?
Well, I was gonna ask you. Maybe I just missed it. When you say they're being honest, I don't know. I got a problem with that.
Please push back. Because I'm not beholden to it at all.
Okay, I need to believe them. If a person says, "I believe I'm Native American," I should believe that that's what they are aspiring to believe. But I don't think that is. I mean, so there's honesty in that. You know, you're telling me you don't believe in the transatlantic slave trade. You're telling me you believe that all of us African Americans were misnamed and misclassified, and we were always here, and this is our original land. You're telling me that's what you believe. I have to believe that you are being an honest speaker when you're saying that. It's hard for me to believe that you're an honest speaker when you're saying that. That's why I'm like, when you're saying these things, I believe my grandma told me that we not from Africa. So that's why I'm telling you we not from Africa. I gotta believe you. That's what you believe. I have to believe that you're not just deliberately falsifying statements. But I have a hard time believing that you would receive such information and buy into it. Like, it's much easier for me to say you're just running a psyop. You're actually.
Let me be clear. I'm saying at least they're being honest as it pertains to them being a political movement. I'm not saying anything else. Look, and I don't know enough about them to know whether or not they claim that they're indigenous. I think that might be I'm not sure. I mean, are they also claiming an indigenous type of status and all that type of thing?
To some extent, I'll say it's tricky because if you look at the figureheads, a lot of times the figureheads try their best to stay in one lane. I'm not saying that they always stay in one lane, but like if you look at Tariq, he will try to stay on the FBA thing. If you look at Lord Abba, he will try to stay on the Freedman. Yvette Carnell will try to stay on ADOS. Now, the rank and file, these, you know, the ground soldiers, they run amok. They're not they're not adhering to any one particular classification. They running through all of the communities, grabbing whichever one sounds good on the day that they happen to encounter folk. So, like, just like you have people just coming up into the chat room, you will have an FBA person saying FBA all day. You give them enough space to talk, and you back them into a corner about their FBA stuff, and they'll revert to, I'm really actually an Aboriginal. I don't know why you don't understand me, brother.
Yeah.
And then if you blow that out the water, then they become ADOS.
Who becomes ADOS? Who become ADOS? Like FBA?
Like I've literally seen this same human being shift up over the course of 20, 30, 45-minute conversation, claiming all of them.
Yeah, I mean, but I have to be honest though. I've heard Tariq Nasheed interchange FBA and Freedman, and that's why I think it's part of the trick. Now he typically says FBA, but he be like, they'll downplay and they'll switch from FBA to Freedman. You know, even I've heard that guy, the one who you scuffed up, named FBA Ron, who often uses word Freedman a lot, right? But I think like you're accurate though. I think you're accurate when you say they typically stay with the word. Those leaders stick with their term. But I have heard Tariq Nasheed switch pretty often at times, but only when he wanted, where it would benefit him. Because at one time, Tariq Nasheed also used FBA and ADOS before they fell out interchangeably. So I think that's also important to note. Whatever serves these fraudulent people, they will utilize. But yeah, I'm not sure if Lord Abba, I think his name is Ali, the spokesman for our Pan-African community. I'm sorry, I don't know how. I really don't know how Lord Abba becomes the spokesman for Pan-Africanism, for Pan-African people. No, I'm messing around. I'm messing around. I just messing around, you know. Okay, let's see what we can pick back up on.
That doesn't involve begging white folks. I just asked Brother Erm to give me one thing he's doing that does not involve white people. He gave me no answer. So I got to ask you the same question, my love. What are y'all doing that don't involve waiting for white folks, working with white folks, or begging for white folks to make things better for black folks in this country?
Okay, so me personally, I am against reparations. Okay, I don't believe that we need the white man to give us anything when we have our own land, and this is our land. We can get it right here out the mud, like we've been doing it, like our ancestors did it, and everything else. We had segregation. We didn't need the white man. We had a bunch of stuff, and we never had it. We was getting it before they came, and we can get it when they leave. So I'm against reparations. I really just want them to leave us the hell alone. Just leave us alone, because we have shown if you leave us alone and leave us by ourselves, we will rise. We will build the banks. We'll build the Wall Street, the jewelry stores. We'll get the oil, the cotton, the tobacco, and we'll get everything we need. So we don't need a European, a Chinese, an African, a Mexican, or nothing can to help us build what we need to build. So I'm not for reparations. I don't need no green dollars. We can get it out the mud ourselves. So I'm against that, because when they give you something, they want something in return. And that's how we got in this problem in the first place. That's what the welfare system was all about, that we chose to get into back.
So just a note that actually seems like he went from them, and I could be wrong because I'm multitasking. He went from the brothers to the sisters.
Right.
So she's saying she's different. Her response is different than theirs. And she's an Indian or native. She's not black. She's not African. She's just indigenous. But you about to say something. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying, well, yeah, you're right. And that's like, I was probably misreading it, but that's what I mean that's what I was referring to with that transition. Like, you know, I wasn't sure if it was like literally separate conversations spliced together to just, you know, give us a video presentation for like 30 minutes, or if everybody was literally in the same room. There are some people in the background while he's talking to Nakia, but I don't necessarily think I remember them in the background while he was talking to the brother. But, you know, even still, it does sound like her trying to declare her position on reparations,
right,
seems like she was trying to make a difference between, make a distinction between her and whoever Brother Ernie is.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Unless it's the same question, you know what I mean? But nonetheless, it sounds like it's the same question. And so yeah, let me go back.
With the 60s and the 60s and stuff like that. So I'm against that. But what I am going to say, as far as these new groups that's trying to build that's about being native to the land, right now we're just finding out the truth of who we are. And so that's the first thing. So we
and who are we? What is this truth now? Who are we?
The truth is, like your grandmama told you when you asked her where y'all was from, she didn't say Africa. She said she was from right here. Like your great grandmama told you, you guys are from right here. Because I'm gonna tell you something.
Why don't we just do? Wait, we ain't gotta argue that. Why don't you just do a DNA test and see if New Jersey come up in your blood cell?
What's going to happen? I'm going to tell you something, Umar Johnson. What's going to happen is...
here's the difference. So let me ask you a question. Again.
You do that fake DNA test. Hold on, wait. Let me ask you a question.
Go ahead.
That fake DNA test, what's going to come up is a country that just got named in 1960. They're going to say Nigeria and Ghana and West Africa, and these places were just called these in the 60s. Before
okay, but what about the kingdoms that existed where those countries are? What about the kingdoms that existed?
They're not putting those kingdoms on their DNA test. They're putting that country's name, and that country wasn't named.
But the samples of the people in those areas, listen, they carved up Africa. They did not mix up Africa. So the people who existed in that area of land that is now called Nigeria, all of those kingdoms are still there. They're still there.
Those people immigrated from there. Let me tell you something. Colonization.
They're still there. So if they tell you you're Igbo, the Igbo kingdom is still there. Yes, it's a part of Nigeria, but it is still geopolitically where it was before the white man showed up in Africa.
Okay,
so that does not dismiss the authentic. Wait. So let me ask you this. Stay with me.
Okay.
You have 256 7 times great grandparents.
Because you got anything on what was just stated?
Yeah, I got a couple of things.
Okay, go ahead and rock off.
I got a couple of things. Okay. First, this thing, I think it might actually be a small contradiction. So somebody else may not think this is like all that hardcore, but like I almost think it's cute. She says, we just finding out who we really are. Because somewhere else in there, I don't know if it was before this or after it, she also says, we always known who we are. My grandmama told me, and she go through the grandma, the grandfather, and the great-grand, and I'm like, well, okay, so hold on. Which is it? You just waking up to who you are, but you always known exactly who you are, and you know that it ain't Africa. It ain't, and you ain't African. And so I'm like, again, my question would I wish I would ask, so which one is it? Because the contradiction is blatant. And I guess maybe, here's what kind of sort of begs the question. If you've already been knowing for all this time, how come you just now starting to do something? And whatever the something is, because I don't know that you're doing too much. But how come you haven't been acting and behaving like this is your soil? How come you have, if all of these so-called pretendian Native American, Aboriginal, whatever's, if y'all been knowing all of this since your grandmama, how come y'all ain't broke out and set up anything? Like the so-called, according to y'all, the fake Indians, they getting it in. They the ones getting it out the mud. They got agreements with the government, so on and so forth. And y'all just got a hardcore belief that slave ships never brought anybody over here. Like that just doesn't ring. Something is wrong with that. Let me see. Now, it was something else. I like the fact that she was trying to say, the DNA tests are fake and they don't, they putting countries on there. They ain't putting ethnicities on there. I'd like, well, first off, it depends on which DNA company you go to. The Black-owned company is actually putting ethnicities on there. But again, I know for that this particular persuasion of the community, It wouldn't matter. She would, you know, they're gonna shift the goalposts as soon as you make that clarification. If your concern was a country name and not an ethnic designation, well, go to the black company. They give you an ethnic designation. Then they're gonna say, well, I don't believe in the white man's science, so why I gotta go do that? And so I'm like, okay, you know, that's the, you know, the DNA thing. And so, like, I do think it was very interesting that even Umar was like, you know, they carved up the country, they didn't carve up the people. I forgot how he said it, but I was like, that was a great line. The ethnicities have always been there. So again, if your concern is, you know, well, they put Ghana on the thing, and Ghana was just created in the 60s. Now, I also think it's interesting. Maybe I can't throw this at her. So maybe I'm guilty of mixing the Indians, the fake Indians with the FBAs and all of that, because it'll be some of these same people. You know, she said she can't trust the DNA because they're gonna use the name of the country, and that's not real. But then when you bring up reparations, they're gonna say, we want to go sue the country for our reparations. They don't want to get it from the white folk. They want to get it from the African nations. And I'm like, so you got this juxtaposition where they just switch up and change it for whatever argument they're trying to make. Because if the countries aren't real enough for you to consider DNA a real thing when they put a country down, then how do the countries become real enough for you to go and sue them for reparations? So all these contradictions come up when you do these.
Well, she probably wouldn't. She might sue
not.
It. Yeah, because
right.
she thinks we never been there.
Right, and she did say she don't even believe in reparations. Which obviously, I personally got a problem with, because I do believe in reparations. But okay, neither here nor there. But go ahead.
So I think you bring up some good points, and I think when I think about what Brother Umar is doing here, when I think about what he is doing here, I think he does a pretty good job in some ways. I think that also, if we were to look at what she's saying and how Umar stated, he said they carved up the country. What do you say? They carved up the what? How did he say it?
I'm trying to remember how he said it. I was trying to find
not carved up the land, not the people, just for lack of a better term. Yeah, right?
They carved. What he said. They carved up Africa. They did not mix up the people.
Yeah. Okay. And I think that that's partly true, right? But I also think that there has been, you know, the people, even if the people migrated, nonetheless, even if the people came from another part of Africa or what have you, they're still Black and African people. It's not so much about the ethnicity as it is, in the real sense, the strands of DNA that you have in common with them. So, you know, we don't even have to deal with the social construct of the thing. We can deal with the biology of the thing. And the biology of the thing is saying these people who you identify as African people are your relatives. These people share common ancestry with you. Y'all have very similar strands of DNA, and there have been people who have found their cousins and things in Africa, you know, with FBA and ADOS and so on and so forth. See, I'm surprised she even had the conversation as much as she did, because she does what they ultimately do is say they don't believe in DNA and the white man's science. I think she actually does say that at some point.
She does,
but she's arguing and trying to say, well, then they're saying these nations that are younger than, you know, me, perhaps not me and you, but, you know, other people who we know they're living. But at the same time, what she's going to ultimately retreat to is that she doesn't believe in the white man's science. which is very problematic. And as she goes on, she just continues to say what she believes.
Right.
You know, and that is indicative of the trauma we have in this land. I was listening to something my dear brother Bob Imhotep was saying earlier today. He says we have a crisis in national identity in this country, Black people. And he was speaking to what he outlines as necessity so that we can build that identity.
Mm-hmm.
And he says that he pulled it from historical accounts of revolution. So I'm going to have him come on the show and speak about that as well. But definitely, she is anti-science. And a lot of our community is anti-science, especially when it comes to things that they just want to believe. That was so much there, but I'm gonna go ahead and push play again. You're doing a great job. I don't even want to. I guess my major point here was that you can't deny the biology, even if you want to deny the. You can't deny the genetics, the DNA, even if you want to deny the social construct, which is the ethnicity or the carving the land up or the nations or the people, even the kingdoms. In other words, those people, no matter where they came from, who you identify as African, are your relatives.
Mm-hmm. Every human being on the planet Earth has 256 great-great-great-great-great-great-grandparents. Uh-huh. How many of those 256 for you are Native Americans?
All of them.
And you know this how?
Because can't nobody prove that we came
No, don't tell me what nobody can't prove. No.
My grandmother told me.
How
so
does
you prove I came from Africa?
Do you have the name?
I came from a country. I know the country.
The name is pretty accurate.
So basically, you're Native American because nobody can prove you're not.
I'm indigenous to this land. This is my
story. But the only way you can prove you're indigenous to this land is to give me the names of your 256 7-time great-grandparents. But you don't know a single name. Nakia, you don't know a single name. Do you see how ignorant that is?
No. But prove to me they African, though. Okay, so prove to me my 256 is African then. So you prove it that
Okay. I'm going to prove this is what I want you to do for me. Just do this one thing for me. Mm-hmm. Get me the 16 names of your great-great-great-grandparents, and I'll prove you African.
Okay, all right. I will give you that, and I'll get that.
Give me that. I will prove to you. Because the point that you indigenous Negroes keep missing is even the Native Americans are a mixed-race African people.
Oh my
That's the point that y'all missing. The first people in this country were African people.
Okay,
the people that you call native came over here later and mixed with the original Africans who came here.
Okay,
so when you say you are indigenous, you know what you're saying? All you're admitting is that you are an African from an earlier group of immigrants from the mother continent. That's
and when you say you're
saying.
African, you're saying you're an immigrant. When you say you African, that means that I am not from this land. When you say you are an African American, you're calling yourself an immigrant, which says that you have no.
Okay, there's so much there. There's so much there. Two. Just I'll talk to the points first. Okay. One, she says when you calling yourself an immigrant, an African American, you calling yourself an immigrant. I want to deal with that. Two, I want to deal with this idea that this formulation that Umar put together as it pertains to this mixture of Africans and the native people here, or the people that came here that would be known as the native people here. I tend to struggle with that framework. I think we do too much at times. Like I think Umar was I thought that was a weak argument. I hate that argument. I think it's the worst argument ever that I hear us continue to repeat. Luckily he was messing with somebody who was debating someone who was out of her mind, but he's out of his mind as well. But the reality is, I just think that's like the most pseudo argument. Like, we're all from Africa. That's the argument he was making. We're all from Africa, pretty much. And that does nothing in the real world when we're talking about ethnicities. That's like a horrible argument. I think he even gets to you can go to Japan and Africans were the first people there. You can go here and African people was the first people there, and you can go here and there and African people were the first people there. Bro, the people that these white people encountered when they got here were not those same African people. Even if African people did like that don't even add up with what's the scientific evidence. It may add up with some people's other pseudoscientific understanding, but those people that came later met with the Africans that were already here and they created this other. So what is he saying? The Mongol, like what is he saying? Like the Asians came over the Bering Strait and then they mixed with the Africans that were here and they created this. I'm just curious. What is he saying? Two, with her, what was the other point? The other point with her is that she says that if you are, I don't think he did a good job of this. But if you're African American, you're already saying you're African. I mean, you're immigrant.
You're immigrant.
If you're African American, you're saying you're immigrant. He said, I don't call myself African American. I call myself African. Now he can do that. That's a political decision. But to really deal, maybe he does deal with it, but I'm not sure. I'll push play again. But the reality is that doesn't mean that. Where did she get that from? That's false. That's kind of like saying, go ahead.
No, I would say that's the ideology. That's part of the ideology that they are creating around claiming indigeneity. They are creating their own vocabulary and definitions, the same way FBA does. So that's something you will hear that from all of the pretendians, no matter what the persuasion, the abos, because even within the pretendians, there are still variations. The aboriginals are slightly different from the freedmen, who are slightly different from the real Native Americans, and are slightly different from the people that say I'm indigenous. They will get into debates amongst themselves and tell each other why you're using the wrong word. Now they're all saying the same. They're all saying the same thing. We ain't African. But they will all give you an explanatory breakdown on why the other Indian still don't fully understand. Because they all have a specific way. And that's why that's also why the Pashtunus word keeps coming up. Because that's another group. There is a group who says, y'all all got it wrong. We are the autochthonous people, and you don't understand the word. Now, again, to me, it sort of stems back to, and I ain't trying to throw this on them brothers, but it stems back to some of the Moorish brothers who were talking all this status, and every word has a meaning in the Black's Law Dictionary, and if you call yourself this, it means you're dead, and if you call yourself that, it means that you ain't nothing in the water, and all this other mess. So that's where they're getting these ideas from, and then they're just reworking them for their own arguments. So for her to say, if you call yourself African, that means you're an immigrant. See, we come from the soil. I'm not gonna give up America. That's ideology.
Man, you broke that
leaf.
Down.
That's the new religion.
I appreciate that nuance that you provided. Whoa. I haven't, and maybe I will, because there's a brother here in Baltimore. His name is Donnie Glover. I don't know what's his name. I can't remember. The brother, I got an award from them. Matter of fact, before but he's allowing these brothers on his Be More News. He's allowing these people on his platform to talk about the Native Americans as well, or they're the indigenous. I don't know. They sit there and they talk for a long time. And they're very passionate about it. So it's like, whoa, they they literally believe these things, and it's so crazy because I saw this statue that you went to a tobacco. I don't know. You went to a shop somewhere in Virginia.
Yeah. And go ahead.
And you spoke about
Virginia
you can talk
Museum. Virginia Museum of History and Culture, and they have have the cigar store Indian statue in there. And they spell it out for you on the plaque. They tell you it's a cigar store Indian. They tell you this is something that was created technically out of ignorance. It was created by Europeans. It tells you that these are Europeans who had never seen a Native American. The only human that they had seen that didn't look like them were literally Africans. So when they were tasked with make me a statue, they just said, okay, well, if they ain't from here, they must look like them other folk. And they crafted the statue based on the idea that I imagine they would look like the Negroes look. And they even go into the details about the ornaments that are carved into the statue are things that come from tobacco leaves. And they date to like the 1800s, 17 and the 1800s. Whereas, because somebody else was trying to affirm that that's not a cigar store Indian, that's actually Chief Powhatan. And they're like, no, hold on, Chief Powhatan was 200 years before this. And Chief Powhatan didn't wear this kind of, and it didn't look this way, and it's not that way. And this is what tobacco leaves look like. They didn't have tobacco leaves. So it's this whole thing, again, where they take something from history. It may be a real object. It is a real thing. And then they create their own narrative around it. And they're going everywhere. I've seen them on Facebook. I've seen them on Instagram. You know, I hate to bring their brother's name up, but I seen them on Sarnetta's channel. And they swearing up and down, this is Powhatan. This proves that we are the originals. The Indians were black. This proves it. They just lying to you. And that was one of the reasons that I went to the museum, was I'm like, no, I got to go see this. I got to see what's actually in the museum, on the floor, on the plaque. Ain't none of that in that museum.
Man, that's I appreciate your investigative, what do they call it? It looked like you got someone you're reading right now. But yeah, I mean, they will go ahead.
I'm reading. I think it was I don't know, maybe somebody that is, you know, of the belief that he's Native American. I don't know. He's just, or maybe he's just trying to correct me on a specific point. He says not entirely correct because European people had contact with Arab and other Mediterranean cultures that were of darker hue than white European phenotypes. Okay, but I don't necessarily think that even relates to the statue that we were talking about, because the statue is not a depiction of a white phenotype. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't.
But go ahead.
Is you can see the what do we call it, the religion of Indigenous Americans, or let's say Native American, like the black. I just got to say the pretendians, the pretendianism that's going on, and I must be. So let me keep it a buck. Like, no, I do have, and I've had in my DNA show up 0 point something percent at times, and it goes away at other times. But what I'm saying is such a small thing that Umar's really debating with this sister who is dealing with the worst level of self-hate. Now, in my own family, I've heard, we got, the craziness is this, that we went from, and they acting like this never happened. We used to say, you got Indian in your family. Now they're saying they are the Indians. Now they lying. They outright lying. All these people, well, my family said I was hit. Like, they say it the same exact way. Like, even some of my people, I've heard some of them be a little quiet more often. I think They don't like being embarrassed because some of them call themselves FBA, and they, you know, then they like, well, my people was always here. Like they said the same way. It is so. It like, why you say it the same way the other person said, and why do you say the same way that Tariq Nasheed said? Why do you say it the way that Chase McGee said? Why do you say it the way that Sincere the Love Guy said? Why do you say it the same way that this sister says it? Why the guy who came in TNAT about a month or two ago and he said we are autochthonous and we're from the soil. What did it mean? I'm from the soil. She said I'm from the soil. So all of a sudden you all using these words, but I get what you know. I'm not even. It's pretty interesting. Another thing, what was she saying another thing that I wanted to hit on? Oh, it was the idea that when you say African American, that means that you are a migrant or immigrant. Like, I guess you had, like, to me, that is like, what does she mean by that? Like, are you saying that you're like historically that you weren't always here? Now, if that's what you call an immigrant, oh yeah, you might be right, sister. But typically, we know that, again, I think somebody said it, or you said it, someone said it, like, they're not saying that white Americans are immigrants, and we know they come from Europe. There's no there's no question about it. You know what I mean? That we know that they came here. No one's disputing that. I mean, well, maybe there are some. I promise you, there's white people disputing that. Look,
yeah, there are white people disputing it.
You think we the only crazy people out here? I want to submit to you that black people ain't the only crazy people out here. What you see going on in our community, you will find variations in every other community. Because guess what? All communities got sick people. All communities got hurt people. All communities got people with identity issues. But the reason why we talk about our community because we're trying to help aid our community see reality. Now, the white folk got to do it for the white folk. But our community has major identity issues. You know what I mean? I think I got my computer back working. Let me see. Tell me if you can hear it.
All you're admitting is that you are an African.
Can you hear that?
Yeah. Yes, I can hear it.
Is it clear?
From an earlier group of immigrants from the mother continent.
And when you say you African, you're saying you're an immigrant. When you say you African, that means that I am not from this land. When you say you are an African,
let me try something else.
African American, you're calling yourself an immigrant, which says that you have no right. You have no right to this land. I am not going to call.
I am an African, and my people are the first people to populate every land on this planet. I am the first in Europe. I am the first in America. I am the first in Asia. I am the first in the South Pacific. I am the first everywhere. Yes, I immigrated from Africa. You damn right. And I don't have a problem with that because Africa is the ancestral, spiritual, cultural, and historical homeland of my people. So yes.
So yeah, this is what I'm talking about. But he's saying like basically they're like, so in other words, wherever we go besides Africa, like that's something she's saying something. I think, well, again, that's not how we typically use immigrants like in 2026. You know what I mean? Like we know that our origin doesn't start here, especially us. Now, we know that if we want to go back to Africa, then everybody on the planet are immigrants besides Africans. Hold on, let me say that again. I'm saying everybody where they are, besides if you're on the African continent, are immigrants. You know, like using that logic. I mean, help me flesh it out. I mean, I'm just trying to go ahead.
That is. I was gonna give this breakdown. Let me see if I can find this thing because I've heard them make this argument before. So
okay,
bear with me.
I didn't know you was an expert on this, cuz.
I'm not. Oh no, I'm not no expert. But I will, I will say this. Because I have encountered the pretendians. I think I encountered the pretendians before I encountered FBA. I think. And so this was a while ago. But this is what I was gonna say because this is part of what I have heard. And so I'm like, okay, the whole indigenous to this land. Now, I personally think it's an insidious argument. But what I have seen, or I'll say, like, for instance, just if you just deal with the word indigenous, there's basically now, okay, I'm not saying this hard actual fact, but there's two main conceptualizations on what indigenous means. Now, so there's a denotative one, and that's technically the more authoritative and correct one. And I would like to suggest, if you claim indigeneity and you honestly mean that, then what you're saying is you are from, or you are of, the people who were originally in a specific geographical territory prior to whatever you identify as the latest group or the dominant group of people who are in that same geographical territory. And so if you're looking at America, then that means if you claim indigeneity, then you are the quote unquote Native Americans, as opposed to the Europeans and the Africans who showed up. And that's technically what indigeneity, what saying I'm indigenous is supposed to mean. If you go to Canada, the indigenous folk are the ones that would say we were here before the whites from Europe came over and established themselves. We were here before the blacks came over as Africans or Jamaicans or what have you. Now, so again, that's what indigeneity is supposed to mean. And you can run that across the whole planet. If you go to Gaza, the Palestinians technically are the indigenous people of that zone. And those Ashkenazi folk that's tearing everything up, they're not the indigenous ones. They're claiming to be the indigenous ones. And I've seen white people in America claim to be the indigenous people of this land. Now, I'll give one more example. Even if you go to Australia, so the so-called melanated brothers and sisters down there in Australia and Papua New Guinea and so forth, they are technically the indigenous population. And the latecomers, the newcomers, are all of the white folk that came up out of Europe from whichever places they came. So that's how indigenous is supposed to work. Now, what I've seen, heard, argued, and debated with people about is in their attempts to change the use of the word. They'll say, I'm indigenous to this nation, I'm indigenous to this country. And what they want to do is say, this country was founded in 1776. That's the birth of this country. Well, I was here before that. My people was here before 1776. That's what makes me indigenous. And so they will run the entire ideology, framework from that position. This country started in 1776. So even if I had to admit that some of my people came off those enslavement boats, even if I have to admit that, I'm still indigenous because we were here before 1776. And there's a lot of white people even in this country that were never here, never connected to this country before 1776. They didn't get here till much later. That's why we're indigenous and they're not. And then they'll bounce off and say, didn't you read the book? We were here before Columbus. Now, clearly, they ain't read the book. They read the title, but that's what they're running with. That's the switcheroo that they're working with. They're trying to, the same way FBA is trying to change our name. They're trying to at least win the argument that all of us accept the label Foundational Black American instead of African American. The Indians are trying to convince everybody that we should accept the label indigenous. And they don't care what the dictionary says. They don't care what the research says. This is their attempt to simply change the narrative. So that's what she's pushing and promoting, and that's the disposition from which she is speaking. And so that's why she'll say, if I call myself an African, that means I'm an immigrant. So no, I'm not an immigrant, I'm indigenous.
Yeah, so she has to protect. If I'm multitasking, but what I think if I'm following you correctly, she has to protect her indigenous status.
Yes.
So to couple African or anything like that with anything for her would be clearly stating or outlining or what have you that she's not indigenous or indigenous or whatever to this land, because she's utilizing and so hence. But yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate your what you brought forth there. So we'll go back to the video.
I am an African, but everywhere else I got there from Africa. And that's what you self-hating indigenous Freedman, ADOS, FBA, and everything else don't want to admit. You're trying to run away from being black. Your movement is based on self-hatred and the love of white folks.
No, Dr. Umar. I love my chocolate skin, baby.
You already didn't like Africans.
No, that's not true. I swear to God, Dr. Umar. When I went to Europe, that's the reason why I went. I was like, I'm tired of this racism. I'm tired of this killing over here. I'm tired of all of this that's going on in America. I want to be over in Europe. I think it's gonna be better. Ain't no racism. Ain't nothing. I didn't even know about
it. Wait, stop. Did I just hear you say you want to go to Europe?
No. I'm telling you before. This is my ideology. Let you know that I didn't have.
Because how you talking all this?
No. This was before.
American
This is
stuff
before.
that you would have run to the white man.
No. This is before. I'm telling you, before I went to Europe, I didn't have any racist thought. I wasn't big against Africans. I wasn't against Europe. I wasn't against nobody. I just was like, you know what? Right now, America's too much going on. Let me go over to Europe where it's a little bit more calmer. And when I went over there, I was shocked at what I saw. What I saw firsthand living over there for 2 years. And I'm telling you, my experience with Africa, it's a lot of Africans over there. My experience with it's a lot of Arabs and Muslims over there too. It's a lot of Muslims over there, Arabs, Chinese, a bunch of people over there. So that's my experience. But let's get back to the transatlantic slave trade.
What about it?
You mean to tell me? Okay,
we was here before the transatlantic slave trade, but go ahead.
Okay, as far as on the business, because slavery was a business, right? Slavery was a business.
APOW, African Prisoners of War.
Okay,
APOW.
It was a business. So just look at this as a business standpoint. You're a business owner, I'm a business owner. Okay, I'm going to go and get some Africans for this.
So for the note, Brother Umar Johnson is also saying that we were here before the transatlantic slave trade.
It's what 1500s, right? And
1400s,
1492. But
hold up, because let me. Could you help me out with this? You know what? You were speaking about this earlier, but I'll be remiss if I don't bring it up, because I think that something you were saying earlier, and you were speaking about the Moors, right? You were speaking about the Moors and how they have contributed to this idea in much of these indigenous and what do you call it, Indian and all these type of things. But I'll be remiss if I don't also include like the likes of a Kaba Kamene, or the likes of a Phil Valentine, or the likes of even Baba Jane Small to a great degree. But I'll be remiss if I don't include even those type of people who also have explained so many different things, including the likes of a Delbert Blair and maybe even a Bobby Hemmett, even to a great degree. We have to really throw Ivan Van Sertima and some of his work in there as well. It just wasn't as crazy as what we here. I'm talking about Ivan Van Sertima for sure. He has some theories, some ideas, and some hypotheses. But when we talk about Phil Valentine and we talk about Baba Small or in Kaba, you know, they mishmash and put all of this stuff together. So Kaba's he's a Moorish scholar or something. You know what I mean? He's a melanin scholar. He's there's been a lot of things. It's interesting. The dear elder in Wally Moon was on my show the other day. Somebody I put a post up and I knew somebody was going to kind of respond to it about his statement around Sirius B or Sirius A or something like that. And, I put it up, but I knew somebody would respond to it and say that it has some inaccuracies there. And, for the most part, I would argue that his argument holistically was very politically sound. Now, when I got to the part around the Sirius A, I agree. I like his philosophy around sacred science, perhaps. But I do know that there's some inaccuracies there. But I'm not really the person in that case to just kind of go run down everything. But unless I find that it's, especially with an elder like him who's very knowledgeable, and that wasn't a major part of his conversation. But yeah, I mean, but for those like Kaba Kabane and the like, man, they are equally guilty for for some of this Moorish and Tahaka Bey, brother Tahaka Bey would not agree with these things. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying I agree with everything brother Tahaka Bey says, but what I am saying is he actually wanted his rise to social media has been actually debunking these particular Moorish type of sovereign citizen / I remember about 10, 20 years, maybe 15, 18 years ago, when everybody was walking around talking about the Mayan calendar and the days were numbered or something like that, and a lot of them mixed it up with this Moorish gobble. So this stuff is not new. I remember them saying that we were already here. In fact, some say things like we were here and they took us there and then brought us back here. It's like some of people say that type of thing, and then other people are saying like so many different things that if you even did a good Google search, because I mean Google searches aren't all bad, you just got to know how to really use it. Just like Chat GPT is not all bad, but you got to know how to use it. I would say use something else, because Chat GPT be making everybody think they like Chat GPT will help you. Chat GPT is like a therapist. It'll go with you as far as you want to go. It's not going to deny you. I think there's some better platforms that will push back on some of your pseudo mumbo jumbo. But nonetheless, I do want to be really clear that those like Kaba Kabane, Bobby Hemmett, Delbert Blairs of the world, like these people are Reverend Phil Valentine. What is he? A Moor, a Pan-Africanist, an African nationalist? He's from Mauritania himself. He got the Moorish crown on his head. Like his name was Reverend Phil Valentine Bay or something like that. So what I'm saying is like it's not just the Moorish brothers and sisters. This thing has been very problematic in a part of our community now. Then the Dane Callaways and them came later.
That's all true.
And they pulled all this stuff out and they made it even more crazy because they ran with it, and then you got all these people walking around saying, well, I asked my grandmother, and all of a sudden, so my grandmother's one narrative is more powerful than 1,000 historians. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like, my auntie who's 100 years old, she know what happened 300 years ago better than those who look at the record, the historical record, who go through archives, who do archaeological digs and all type. Like grandma, who's 85 years old, 70 years old, knows better than people who dedicate their time to this type of thing. And but you got anything before I turn to go back to the clip?
Maybe just a little bit. Probably gonna just I may echo some of the things you said. I thought it was very interesting that Umar made that claim about the uh, us as Africans being everywhere first and all that other stuff. I do think it's a little interesting, only in the sense of
Mm-hmm.
like I wish I could have like you know had
Mm-hmm.
him tease that out to see exactly what it is he meant. But I mean, it sounds pretty clear what he meant. I just hope he didn't mean it the way it actually sounded. Um, they, scientifically, it doesn't necessarily hold, but I don't like it when people take that thing and like, start running with the Olmec heads and saying, or at least particularly trying to say, that's what Van Sertima said. Um, Now, of course, we got Runoko Rashidi, and he did a lot of that work about,
Mm-hmm.
the first peoples everywhere were Africans, so to speak. Um, but like it's well, I'll just say like one of the things that I liked about Van Sertima is he was kind of clear. He was like he wasn't claiming that the Olmecs were Africans and the Olmecs created or the Africans created the Olmec civilization. He was saying that there was some contact, and a lot of the research has come around to slightly bear more credence to it. His contact theory hasn't been proven, but there's been more credence given to his contact theory off of some newer information. But yeah, again, Umar technically is wrong about that. Now, I saw something that I think Kari put into the chat, and I wanted to say, if that's where Umar was trying to go, then I guess I would give him some credit and some credence, some grace and space, because Kari was saying, there were Africans who came with the conquistadors, to the Americas. And so if that's what you mean, I'd rather you say it that way. But outside of meaning it and saying it that way, yeah, what he said was extremely problematic. And there is no scientific information that would correspond to uh, this mixture of Africans and Native Americans, the way he made it sound like. So I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I mean, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think I hear what Carrie is saying as well. I didn't read it, but
Mhm.
I think I still have a problem with the narrative, unless this is what I have on the screen he has something else to go along with that. It seems like, but if I recall, is that the same date that Tariq Nasheed has on his website with the
Ooh, that's a
conquistadors?
good question.
And they speak about like these. They don't know how many Africans came. They don't know, basically, if they actually survived or they migrate. Like there's little history. Like, Carrie, help me out with that. Help me out with that, Carrie, because I mean, don't give us half information. you know, what's on Tariq Nasheed's flag on FBA.com?
I'm trying to
Because
pull it up. He
at the
actually
end of
has 1526.
okay, 1526, right? So now I would have to
As
ask Carrie. So did these people populate? What happened with those people from 1519? Do we have a understanding like
is
historically what happened like when they came here in
uh,
1519, like did they settle and start colonies or like what happened?
now
Did you reading
you
something?
asking me or Carrie?
Oh, I can ask you because you probably. I mean, whoever knows. I'm just curious.
Okay. I'm not I'm not necessarily sure on the 1519 date. Now I do know, when you start talking about the conquistadors, and that's the Spanish and the Portuguese and whatnot. Uh, there is information out there. I don't. I don't keep it in my head that much, but Juan Garrido or Galvido, something like that, was one. That's one example. But John Caballo is, I think, another one. But there is like recorded information about them being African folk who came with the conquistadors and actually led some of the expeditions. At once the boat landed, they led some of the expeditions that went further and further in to the interior of, but none of this is the contiguous 48 of the United States. Most of this is Caribbean islands and South America. I think there may have been one that hit Florida and maybe one that made it to Mexico. But again, I'm sketchy on the names from memory. But those are like, but I guess what I'm saying is when you talk about them, you can talk about them and say, this shows that there were some Africans that came here before or alongside Europeans. But even in saying that, that's one black conquistador on one ship, one black conquistador on another ship. So even with that came, even with the fact that they came, they settled, they found themselves a beautiful Native American woman, and they married, had babies. That ain't populating. Come out to a population. That's one family bloodline. Not, that's not Adam and Eve starting up a brand new ranch.
Yeah, I'm searching, and it all seems like what you're saying is accurate. And I mean, I don't know what Carrie's point is here, but it seems like it wasn't even the United States proper. It was more like like you said, in Mexico and places like that, and yeah. So,
and there were some. I feel like I said, because there were some that think they landed in Florida. But again, this was, and it goes back to the indigenous Indian trick bag, because it's when you make these arguments, because what they're doing is they're saying, if you can show me that these were black melanated people that was here before the English got here, because America is what English is. Yes, but the Portuguese came over here and set up a fort. The Spanish came over here and set up a fort. So if we're talking about the geographical territory, you can make some kind of a claim of some quote unquote melanated or African looking or African people being here. But that does not constitute we are the Native Americans.
Yeah, I'm looking. Yeah, I think that makes sense as well. And it also says they came free and enslaved. So it still goes back to the idea of before slavery. So it still doesn't hold up with what Umar, it still holds up what we're saying here. That some came free and some came enslaved. So basically it's still not supporting what Umar is saying.
Right. That's what's like, on the surface, what he said, absolutely dead wrong. I would like to think if someone were challenging him, I would like to think that he would clarify his position and say, this is what I'm saying, brother. This is what I mean. That's just, that's just being a wishful thinker. He might double down and say, no, I said what I said. I'm like, okay, bro, well, you ain't got no science on that.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I grew up in this community, so that's why I know a lot of these things, and I appreciate Runoko Rashidi's works, whether or not we can debate. Like I was debating back then whether or not he could I didn't go around the world and just call everybody black he felt was melaninated and had certain phenotypical features. Now, I literally, while he was alive, and it led to the group PLM here in Baltimore brought Baba Runoko Rashidi here several times. I know one of the times he came and he was talking about, he was just sharing his general information, and of course he also shared some updates and things of that nature, like the Tasmanians weren't completely wiped out and stuff like that, although it still may hit in colors. But I say that because I just say, Tariq Nasheed was still spewing things while he had the person in the film who actually recanted that statement years prior, and he still allowed that to be in the film. I'm not saying Baba Runoko Rashidi. I'm saying that Tariq Nasheed, you can tell what kind of relationship and what kind of process he goes through in his film, that he allowed that to make the cut. Because if he would have consulted with the very person that we've gotten the claims from, being Baba Runoko Rashidi or ancestor Runoko Rashidi, at this point, it wouldn't have made the cut, and that information would have been redacted, and we have clearer information. But with all that being said, I still appreciate the work that Runoko Rashidi did, because we can argue about what makes someone, like, for example, like, we can argue about, whether or not these people are considered black or African or what have you. I don't think it's that easy of a argument as both sides make it. Like, because again, there's places on the continent of Africa, they're like, black, what do you mean black? So, that's not a reality of ours. But from our lens, you could go around and say some of these people fit the phenotypical, let's say, stereotype of black people when you go to certain islands and things of that nature. So I don't think it's as easy as a conversation as many people try to argue for and or against, especially those who argue against some of the work that Baba Runoko Rashidi did and say, well, these people aren't African or black, they're not black. Well, I don't think it's that easy of an argument. You kind of got to operationalize exactly what you mean. And so I don't think that, and I'm saying that now, but I did challenge him because sometimes he would get into like India and then I'll be like, well, I know Gandhi's a little lighter, but just why is Gandhi not black? And this person, like, you have some people that's just as light as Gandhi, and you're saying they're black, but you're saying Gandhi's not because of what he said in South Africa. So now I don't I just thought that was pretty interesting, I guess you can also say that too, because some people see blackness as a political construct. It just means what do we mean when we say black, and that's what we have to do in social science. You know what I mean? But yeah, Umar is doing I would say Umar is doing a interesting job here. He's off the cuff. I still don't think he has any evidence to his claim that we were here before. I'm not saying we have any evidence against all four. I'm just saying I don't like the way that he's arguing this particular point. Because it leans more into their points. Like, we were here before. Like, okay, where's the evidence, bro? Like, what do you mean? Like, fight cleanly and clearly. Look, I see Spanish words, Garado and the Catholicized
Estavanico, Garrido, or Catholicized Africans, or Iberians, Spain and Portugal, had phenotypical blacks.
Yeah. So So I don't think it's as easy as some of the people who argue against it, like my dear brother Unc. He's like, they're not black. Well, you can say that, but blackness, as he argues, is a social construct, and typically they go by phenotype. So so if a person in a group of people fits that, one can make a good case that these people are black.
Yeah, I've heard make a few arguments, and I usually end up being on the wrong side of Unc's conversations. But I know that it is a tricky conversation to have, and you do have to first sort of put down the gauntlet on how are you defining black. You know, at least in the
Mhm.
in the aspects, are you talking strictly on the social construct, or are you talking about the phenotype, or some other measuring metric and classification? Now, personally, I have always, I think I've always struggled with how to articulate it. It's, especially off the cuff. You know, there's been a few times when I had to sit down and be like, okay, I gotta craft a few sentences here or there or whatever. But even with Runoko Rashidi, Dr. Runoko Rashidi, you know, I looked at, I would like to say I looked at a lot of the things. I can't necessarily say because he did so much, but that which I did see from him, you know, I was, to some extent, I was convinced, or I was in agreement with the basic premise and position that he was taking when he went to all of these different places. Most of the times, from what I saw, now there could be definitely some ones that I didn't see that were a little bit more sketchy or hard to maintain, but I've seen him make some of the arguments about, even in India, you know, or at least if not India proper, then like those islands that surround India, with those I think Amandians, I think what it's called, where they are, you know, and again, like from what I've seen, the Papua New Guineans, the Aboriginal Australians, I think they
Yeah.
say Australopithecus. A
Yeah.
lot of the stuff that I've seen around them, I'm like, okay, for me, that's black. That's you know what I'm saying. But at the same time, you know, I extend that word black, you know, even back onto the continent. I'm like, you know, I've had the arguments about the ancient Egyptians being black. I'm like, I see the Ethiopians as black. I see the Somalians as black. I know it's a few that say they not, but I know it's a bunch that say they are. So the phenotype ranges, especially when you get into horn, like you can really like. But it's funny to me because you can really see a lot of differentiation in the phenotype when you get to horn, but at the same time, if you know where to look, you still see the quote unquote, you know, the bad word, the sub-Saharan phenotype. You still see that over there. So
yeah, I
go
think
ahead.
no, I agree, and I think that I have question about some, and what I mean by question about some is that I do question some of the claims of blackness, even with the phenotype test, because why I say that is because, again, like the example I gave earlier, some of the people they look as light as Gandhi, but because you didn't like what Gandhi said, he was no longer black. You know what I'm saying? So you know, I mean, I got family members as light as Gandhi. You know what I mean? So lighter.
Right.
So I'm just saying, there's like a thin line between where it starts and ends, and of course, we understand we got people that look who are white passing and every other type of passing, but we're talking about in a general sense. Most of the people that he showed us, many of the people he showed us, would pass that phenotypical test. And I know people are saying, well, you know, you got to do the DNA, like you got to do the DNA, but the reality is, I think it's a little complex. You know, I guess because even with the DNA, you could say, well, where does their DNA trace back to? And because now what we typically identify as black now today after they try to clean black up, it's those people who foremothers and forefathers descend from the continent known as Africa. So we will have, now if you do it through DNA, that's something different. But black is a quote unquote social construct. So that's where we kind of get a bit where we'll run into some good debate. So I just think it's not a perfect thing, but I get it.
Yeah, true, exactly. Yeah, it's definitely not perfect. I know means it's perfect.
So for and against is kind of, for me, to be so hard for or against is kind of like, honestly, I would say it's kind of wasting time for many. For most of what people have identified as black. Then I think there's some fair debate, but I'm gonna hit the clip, and I don't know how long you want to go, but I'll. Want me to click the clip one more? Oh, I don't know how many more times.
Go ahead. I mean, I'm good. I'm straight on time, but you go.
All right. But how many was fitting on that boat? 300 of them on the boat. Strap them on the boat. Put them.
Hold up. Lord of Slaughter says somebody's skin black. Let's be careful with that. hey, because most people that we call black don't have. Well, I don't know too many people with black skin. If I know one person with black skin, so I think I don't know. I mean, you know, I'm just saying. I think we have to be careful with that, though.
Have them go through the Atlantic, which we know is a long voyage.
In fact, then there's a lot of people from India that are a lot darker than most of us. So, I mean, you know, I think we'll have great debate about this color of the skin, because when we look at the color of the skin, we would have to say, well, if all it has to be is the color of the skin, you have many people on this earth that is darker than the people that were first called black. And those people who were first called black are us. Right, in these United States. I mean, unless you want to debate the whole more black or more and all that, you know, but yeah.
From Africa to America with no motor, okay? Then they going down to the Caribbean and all that, so they going through the hurricane season and everything. We getting them down there, get them over here. They gonna be sickly, they stinky, they ain't had no food, they ain't had no drink, they've been side by side, they funky. Now get them over here to a foreign land, which they know nothing about. I'm gonna have to clean them up. I'm gonna teach them how to till this land, teach them about this land, just so they can till and some cotton and grow some vegetables that they can grow all in Africa, which is supposed to be the motherland, because Africa's supposed to be able to grow all this stuff too. Why would I take you from Africa and bring you all the way to another land and risk my boat sinking, you guys dying, being sickly, and bring you somewhere else just to pick some fucking cotton? It makes no sense. Why would I do that when there's people already on that land that knows how to farm and migrate that land?
So if I understand,
was that the clip? Okay, yeah, it was a clip.
Your question. If I understand your question, Nakia,
yes.
Why didn't the white man enslave the African in Africa instead of bringing him to the New World?
Why would he? It makes no sense.
Is that the question? Is that the question?
Yes.
Because if it is the question, the answer is real simple, sister.
Why?
Europeans were looking for new territories that they could control and offload their excess population.
They hadn't controlled Africa yet. Africa was the motherland. They didn't colonize Africa until 1881.
Listen. Africa, for a long time, was ground that the Europeans did not want to touch because he was afraid of it. He had never investigated the continent.
So why you slave? You afraid? How you want to slave the people if you're afraid of them? How you enslave 20 million people and you afraid of them? That makes no sense.
First of all, when they finally came to Africa, began the slave trade, they were on the coast of Africa.
So what?
In the interior. If you're going to enslave, listen, if you're going to enslave African people and build an economic empire out of it, you can't do that from the coast. You have to go in the inside. That's one of the reasons why they made deals with African rulers who would go and get the enslaved Africans and bring them back to the coast. It wasn't until Stanley traveled to the heart of Africa into the Congo, and once he crossed the entire continent, he told the white man, we can make it here. Africa was already populated by kingdoms that they would have to destroy, and the white man wasn't able to survive the climate nor the diseases of the continent.
God. Listen,
it was not feasible. It was not feasible, Nakia. All you got to do is read the history of European global exploration.
That makes no sense, because they were supposed to be stronger now than they.
He did not start going into the African interior until his military technology allowed him to fight the African at a distance.
Oh, okay. So you mean the ones on the coast? There was no kingdoms on the coast, and the ones on the coast were the weaker ones. So they took the weaker ones. Okay, that don't mean you're weaker.
Get the hell out of Dodge. I can get the hell out of Dodge. When I want to go in the interior of a country I don't know anything about, in a climate that I can barely survive. What are you talking about? Why did they bring Africans to America? Because the Native Americans knew the land too well, so they kept on escaping, and the white man was dying from diseases. So he needed somebody who could withstand those heats and those diseases, and that's why they brought us, because we're the genetically strongest people on the planet Earth.
Wake it up.
He did go to Africa. Do you know that by the...
Yeah. Yeah, I was wondering if he was going to get to that point, but he did. Go ahead. You look like you ready, cuz.
Oh no, I'm like, shout out to Umar. He really he really nailed a couple of key points there.
Hold on. Let me make sure nobody get me. Now, he said shout out to Umar. Every time I say shout out to Umar, I say shout out to Umar for getting some points right, but he's still a fraud. All right, you keep going.
True indeed. A lot of what that sister said, I'm telling you, like, that came straight out of Dane Calloway's playbook.
Really? Oh man, you need to do these shows. I know you know all the Pretendians.
I'm
you know
telling
the
you,
nuance in the graves of the Pretendians, don't you?
Man, I'm telling you, I ran into the Pretendians before I did the FBA. The Pretendians.
We need to look. They ain't dying. Look,
they not dying, but they lost a lot of, like, FBA really took their energy. They took their spotlight. The Pretendians was, because the Pretendians, they really weren't, quote unquote, about anything except making the claim. You know, they were just making the claim that I'm Native and we've been lied to. You know, ADOS came and said, we need some political things going on. And so that took people's attention away from the Pretendians. And then Tariq with the FBA was like, I'm gonna rock with this reparations thing, but I'm gonna pull everybody in off this culture war. The Pretendians all they ever, like, they just want to be called Native American. They like the lady said, she don't believe in reparations. You know, they don't have a political goal. They don't want to be called Native Americans. They just don't want to be called African. That's the end of their agenda. But it's very interesting that she's making that argument, and she's trying. That came straight out of Dane Calloway. Dane Calloway, he got this whole book, and I think even Brother Jabari did a piece on his book and showed how he was plagiarizing things left and right. And again, that was like another blow to him or whatnot. But you know, for some people, she sounds like she's being reasonable, and she sounds so passionate. You know, why take on, if this is a business, why take on the ocean and the disease and the death? And I'm like, you know, that's how Dane Calloway came up. That's how he broke that question. And I'm just like, oh man, you know, my thing, I think one of the problems that I have with this entire thing is that apparently the curriculum in America in the public education system has broken down even worse than it was when I was a child, when I was going through. Now, you know, I always like to claim my age. I'm old. I was born in 1971, so I was in high school during the 80s. But even back then, the curriculum wasn't that strong. But there was information in there on the Transatlantic Slave Trade. And so I'm like, now I don't know what it looks like now. And so I can't really speak on what her educational background is.
No, man, they making this up. They know.
You said they know it.
They making this up. They didn't learn. If you don't learn nothing, you learn about slavery.
Right. And you know what I'm saying? And but see, and again, this is
she
what
probably your age.
Did.
She probably your age, bro. What are you talking about?
You probably right. Look, so I'm just like, okay, look, you know, the way that she makes the argument is if she is completely void of the information. I'm like, nobody taught you about smallpox, about measles, about malaria, and what it did to the indigenous population. There were more quote unquote Native Americans that died off of the diseases, than the conflict, so to speak. Now, okay, I need to bring that back. I can't state that definitively as fact, but diseases wiped out a significant portion of those Native Americans, in addition to the conflicts and the physical battles that they were having. So that is literally what drove them to say, we need a new population, let's go to Africa. So this notion that she's trying to push, why would they do all of that when there was Native people already here? They were decimating the Native people. And so I'm like, well, now, so that's one. Now, two, the Native people, they knew the land, and it was going to be easier for them to find moments of how to break away and how to escape from whatever, the trenches were when they were in the throes of something. They could escape into rougher terrain. And oftentimes they did. Like the colonizers, the white folk, they had to find Native American collaborators. They had to find people that they could bribe and pay to escort them through some of these areas because they didn't know the territory. And that's historical fact. And it holds true for their presence here in America. And it holds true for how they approached landing on the shores in Africa, which is what Dr. Umar was saying. And so for her to just make these arguments, and it's like she has no clue about this. This is the basic. This is the Wikipedia level of information. And the fact that the enslaved Africans themselves had stronger immunities because they grew up in societies where some of the diseases that were decimating the Native Americans and the Europeans had already been, in Africa, and they had already built up their immune to those diseases. So they weren't going to collapse. You know what I'm saying? They weren't going to die off to those sicknesses. But that's the historical explanation to all of these questions she keeps rapid firing back and forth at him.
Yeah.
And it's not only the historians, like the standard historians have looked at this and shown it, but there are economists. She keeps saying but it's supposed to be business. There are economists that researched it and found out, oh yeah, this all tracks. There was malaria in the South. There was malaria that ran through the Native Americans. Mm-hmm. And even the economists found that there were Africans from certain areas on the African continent because they had a natural immunity to malaria. That became part of the bargaining chip. If you got me one of them Africans from over there with natural immunity, I'll pay more. So I'm like, this is all in the history. This is all regular history. Or at least it should have been. So again, like I said, like even a broke clock is right twice a day. Umar, he was quite effective in that part of the conversation. I ain't got nothing, you know what I'm saying? That don't mean I'm rubber stamping everything he do.
I think when I think about some of the comments I see here, I see like this person here saying, Lord of Slaughter, Lord of Slaughter, woo. Lord of Slaughter says, scientifically, all phenotypes are African. See, that's going more into what, like, I don't know how. I mean, I can philosophically understand what this person is saying. But what does that really mean? Like, of course, like we're also talking about the complexity of these things. Like, it's easy to say, well, genetically you can, like, I think you brought up like the Amhara people, in India, like you can trace them back to be, they literally like it's like almost like clear, like, oh my God, they this group of people in the southern part of like India, I believe, they not genetically and also just phenotypically, like it's clear, like, oh y'all look like y'all come from the continent.
Yeah.
But then there's like, I think I'm also hearing like, I don't know, that I've always had this struggle with the idea of Dalit people, and I would have to, because when I see Dalits, they don't just look one way.
No, they got a lot of variety. Some of them got like the stereotypical thick lips, wide nose. Some of them got the stereotypical thin lip, thin nose.
Right. So I don't always think that one is always easy. I think that to some degree we're so used to being oppressed that, you know, just make them black. All oppressed people have to be black. To some, you know, to some degree, like they're black. They're on the black cast, by the way, because they're on the black cast. Then because they're in the black cast, which is not racial per se, they are considered. They're not a Brahmin, you know. So you know they're the Dalits below the, you know, undercast and so on and so forth. It's been a while since I've looked at any of these things, but please pardon if there's any the nuance is not as clear. But nonetheless, I do think that it's very difficult to just say that. I mean, like, all people are phenotypically African. I mean, I get it. Like, what I guess what Lord of Slaughter is saying is that you can find any phenotype, mostly any phenotype in Africa.
Right.
But I don't think in practice we would just say, oh, and I don't even think you could say that there's one African phenotype. So it's kind of like there's that's why I used the term stereotypical earlier. Like, but there are stereotypes. I'm sorry, there are phenotypes that people typically recognize as or see as being maybe Asian, even, and I get it. Like, you can go to South Africa and so forth and so on and see people who look very similar to those in Asia, or especially the eastern parts of Asia, the Orient, and things of that nature, that look very similar to even like a person like Mandela or the Khoisan people or what have you. But that's not what people think about when they think about Black or African, just to be honest with you. Now, when you look at them, you kind of, oh, they do look, you know that that's not what the first thing that come to your mind. I'm saying, like, for example, there's plenty of people that look just like that, like in the Caribbean and the United States, and the eyes and everything. In fact, my wife's, but that when you think about how they identify Black people, and when people think of Black people, something else I would argue comes up in their minds. Although we are in all different, we show up phenotypically in many ways. I'm not sure if I could say honestly though that phenotype is more than just features of like the way your eyes are shaped or your nose is shaped. It's like a combination of things that make you African, like or black, considered Black. It's like there's a combination of things.
It is. But like, I don't know. It's like I said, it's definitely a slippery slope. It's definitely tricky. One of the things that I like to do I used to try to do this thing in one of my classes. I would show these pictures. Now I know in the online scholar community, like the Sonetta world, they call that lookership. But I'm like, I used to do it anyhow. And so I was like, I would show these pictures to my students. Is this a black person or not? And so I'm like, especially if I'm in a situation like kind of sort of like what Unc does. If I'm in a situation where if you're really arguing against this lookership thing about phenotypes, then I would be like, okay, so do you characterize somebody that looks like Haile Selassie as black? And usually people be, oh, well, yeah, okay, yeah. And I'm like, okay. And so I'll pull up another picture or call out another name. And I'm like, well, what about Iman?
Who?
Iman, the model.
I don't know.
And I'm like, okay, well, Iman is black. And I'm like, okay, now when we look at, like Haile Selassie has a bit of a wider nose than Iman. Iman has a very thin type of nose. Iman's nose is what people call the white people nose. And so I'm like, well, to some extent, to what Lord of Slaughter was saying, that's that variation. When you try to pinpoint it onto one thing, and like you said, no, it is this complexity of variation. And I think like in some other jargons, they'll say something like a sliding scale, a matrix, because you'll put these things. It could be any of these things. If you got at least 3 of these 7 characteristics, then we give it this name. And so I'm like, well, yeah, there is all this variation. And I think a lot of times too many people place more of an emphasis on what folk have been the sub-Saharan version of black. And a lot of people tried to use that, for instance, as a way to keep ancient Egyptians out of the fold. The ancient Egyptians, you can't say they were black because they don't look sub-Saharan. Okay.
Well,
they don't look sub-Saharan.
I mean, but I don't know if you're saying anything different than what I'm positing here. Right. Because what I'm saying though, that where I will give some pushback, is that stereotypically there are what people have identified as this let's say what's the word I want to say, this constellation of features together, which will have people identify someone as black or African or Asian. Of course, we're mixing ethnicities and racial categories right here when we're talking, and that speaks to the complexity. But no, what I'm arguing is that is the combination, right? So, for example, you're not going to see you're not going to see an Asian person who has a certain skin hue and say those are black features. You're going to look at this person and say, oh, they look Asian. Or Chinese, or you might not even know what the actual ethnicity is. But when you look at Mandela with similar eyes, you probably, stereotypically, you're going to say, oh, he's black, but he got Asian eyes. Because there's this this stereotype that exists that we can't act like is not prevalent. But also, you might just say he looks black because of the totality of the features. Not just because the eyes look this way or the nose look this way. It's the hue, it's the nose, it's the lips, it's the hair, it's all the things together what makes up. And then you have ambiguous. For a major part of my life, when I had hair, people sometimes thought I was ambiguous. Now you take the hair. This is a good example. Because I took my hair off my head, I have less of that. If you were to take the hair off of a lot of people from India, even, you would then say, are they black? You'd be like, are they black? Are they so there's these things that we have identified with that make a person, it's a cluster of phenotype that kind of has us identify certain things. What's funny, brother? Cuz
No, we all say the same thing, and I'm laughing because I had like kind of sort of like some similar, I guess, occurrences. Like this was a while ago, but you know, I used to do a little bit more dressing like a Sunni Muslim.
okay, yeah.
And so when I put on the garb, I had people, people thought I was Arab. People thought I was Arabic.
Right.
I took a picture, and somebody was like, "You look like Osama bin Laden," and I was like, "I don't even know. I don't even have a response." You know what I'm saying? And so but that is the thing, and I think I had shared this with you before. When I went to Egypt, I had, I had Egyptians coming up to me saying, where you from? What are you? And I'm like, now again, I was in garb. You know what I'm saying? I had the Muslim kufi on. I was wearing a jalabiyah, and they were perplexed in some areas. Where, you know what I'm saying? In areas where, like in some of the northern areas, everybody was a lot lighter, so they just looked at me and kept on going. But when I got like to Luxor, I had several of them walking up like they were shocked. They didn't understand why I didn't speak Arabic.
Yeah. So that's that ambiguity that kind of happens. That I'm just saying. So it's not. I mean, I get what Lord of Slaughter is saying. I just think it's a bit unnuanced. But let's see what Lord of Slaughter says, and we'll go back to the clip. Non-Africans don't have any DNA. If they did, they would be a different species.
I don't know. A word in there.
Hold on. I love how you give the benefit of the doubt all the time. Hey, Lord of Slaughter, I'm not surprised if he meant exactly what he got here, or she, or whoever, Hey, so Hustle Culture says Dr. Winkler won't be getting an invite to FDMG opening in 2027. Security will be present. Kidding, Doc. Well, Hustle Culture is kidding. I didn't befriended Hustle Culture. He didn't say kidding. You know what I mean? Okay. So I'm gonna go back to the clip because I see how long we'll let this go.
All right.
Let me go back.
Tom Sawyer ended. He was already colonizing Africa, but he did not start there because he did not think he would be successful there in the beginning.
Oh my God. Okay, Dr. Umar. Okay.
The climate of Africa was deemed unbearable by the Europeans. You can study this, sister. You don't have to believe me.
Okay, that's fine.
You can study this. Christopher Columbus was in Africa. He got the map to come over here from African brothers and sisters. They spent the whole week in one of the slave dungeons in Ghana, either Elmina or Cape Coast, and they teach you that when you go there. So they knew how to come to America because we taught them how to come to America. But they wanted to go to a land that they thought would be much more efficient to conquer and colonize. The white man wasn't about to go into Africa try to conquer and colonize.
Okay, so you mean to tell me when they came over here, because they was calling us savages, and when they came over here, we've been fighting. We gave them hell, and we still giving them hell today. We was fighting them just as much. What battles have you seen the Africans fight versus the battles that we didn't fight? You said we fought them way more than the Africans fought them.
Are you serious?
We have been fighting.
Are you serious?
Hold on. Before they turn up, before they turn up, did he say that Africans? What was he saying, that we taught them how to get over here?
He did make that comment. He said we taught them how to get here. And he said that what else did he say? We were they could not, maintain, they couldn't do much in Africa. He said they couldn't do much in Africa at the beginning. They had to stick to the shores. And it was something else that she said in there. But go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess okay. I'll just take it with a grain of salt.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Misguided. Very misguided.
Africa just about fought the Europeans. Yes,
Okay.
they had a few collaborators, but most of us fought the Ashanti Wars, the Zulu Wars. The Ethiopians even beat them. The Zulus even beat them. The white man had to fight for almost 100 years.
Okay, and we fought too. The Seminoles fought. We all fought. We fought as well. The Haitians fought. We fought just as well. I don't understand.
Listen.
We fought just as well. You acting like
so
we
you
didn't
a
fight
Seminole.
also. We fought just as much as they
How
fought.
are you a Seminole when you can't get?
I ain't gonna lie. All right, so I told y'all Umar still a fraud, but I like everything he laughing at. Like
Right.
I like everything he's laughing at. It's like,
Mhm.
but it's almost like a laugh, like not like he laughing at her. Like it's almost like, oh my god. It's like, damn, we messed up. My sister is fighting hard to be a pretendian, bro. She's fighting hard. I mean, I think that, yeah. But go ahead. You have something.
I was gonna say, I would again now. There's this thing as to whether or not she honestly believes this stuff. I'm like,
okay.
right here, this is the Jedi mind trick, and she's trying to run the Jedi mind trick on you in real time. She said when the Europeans came over here, they was calling us savages. No, they was calling the American savages. But see, that's the thing. She's co-opting that group of people's story.
She believes.
She said, we've been giving them hell.
Yo.
No. Native Americans.
You don't believe she's co-opted in the way where she literally believes it because she is fluid with it. She's fluent and fluid with it.
Well, that's what I was saying earlier. Like, I kind of have to accept that she believes it, no matter how hard it is for me to wrap my head around. You believe in this. It's like, but I still gotta say it's the Jedi mind trick. She put on herself first. She drank the Jim Jones Kool-Aid, and now she's running around trying to get everybody else to take a sip.
I appreciate it. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's serious. I mean, I get it. Like, what's crazy though? What you're saying is like, I believe she really has embodied this Indian identity to the degree that she doesn't even see any part of her as being African.
She doesn't.
Like it's a point in the video. Yeah, I'm not sure if we're gonna get there, but she literally said, "Hold on, we might get there." We shut up, but she literally gets to the point where she says that. You know what I mean? Like I'm not African at all. And he said, "How do you know?" He said, "Because you can't." How do you know? Like. She gives the worst type of example, like because you can't prove to me that we African or something like that.
Yeah,
that's kind of crazy. I mean, but
that's that imaginary dragon thing that I was talking about earlier.
I was thinking about FBA though, like FBA and Tariq Nasheed. Like Tariq Nasheed in his now to me that's impressive on how Tariq Nasheed and his followers. I don't really believe Tariq Nasheed believes the FBA thing.
he doesn't. Well, I don't think he. I would say I don't think he does for at least one reason. And I'll say, I'm out on a limb. I don't think he believes it because he came from this Moorish Islamic thing.
Yeah.
So, again, and Taharka was talking about this at least once. I saw him, I think, recently say something about it. But if you just throw out the name, you cannot align that name up to foundational Black American, at least with some of the, the brother be like, look, my name Leroy. It's always been Leroy. Okay. I understand why you holding on. But if you running around here tweeting the sheet of law, Barack Hussein Obama,
Yeah, Tahaka made a
ain't
good
nothing
point with that.
foundational Black American about that.
Yeah, that was a great point. And yeah, and the fact that he can, and my point is the fact that he can literally lie or lie so well that he literally uses FBA as if it means all all Black Americans whose ancestors came through slavery, and the way that he uses it and how manipulative he is with it is crazy, because he uses it in very intentionally. You will hardly hear him slip up. Like, he literally like says these things like he believes it. And I know he's intentional, because it was crazy, because he was so intentional. One video I was listening to, that he did not, he would call like anything that's positive that he agrees with what African American people did in this country. He would say, see, FBAs did this, and FBAs did that, and FBAs created the cotton gin, and FBAs, they created jazz and this and that. He say, and some others, some of us, he'll be like, some of us, this not in the same sentence, but he'd be like, some of us were we created Pan-Africanism. He wouldn't say FBA created Pan-Africanism. He goes about a roundabout way. So to me, it's like, man, I can't believe this guy is this intentional with his mind manipulation, his brainwashing tactics, his undue influence. But yeah, let's see if we can let it rock off and then see how far we can get. And we can. I know you got some notes, and we can take some notes.
Give me the names of your 16 great. So you're sure you're son?
No, I didn't say I was. My people is Blackfoot. My grandmother is Blackfoot. We're Blackfoot in Osage. I know that for a fact. Yes, we are. We're Blackfoot in Osage.
Of your 256. 7 times great grandparents are
I can listen. I can only go back to my great grandmother, Mrs. Teresa Red, and we was all Indian, baby. We was all
your
Indigenous.
Blackfoot ancestors and your Osage ancestors have African ancestry as well.
No, they don't. They don't.
Yes,
they're right here from this land. This is our land. You can be from Africa and fight from Africa, but I'm gonna fight for America. You can go to Africa, but I'm gonna stay right here on my land. This is my land.
Is false.
No.
Every African on the planet came from Africa. Anybody who tells you it was in America and didn't come from Africa is a lie, and they cannot prove it. The issue is y'all hate yourselves.
No, we love ourselves and we love our land. That's the problem. Dr. Umar, you don't love the land that you're on.
You're claiming an identity that somebody gave you on YouTube.
You don't love the land that you own, but you don't love a land that you don't even live on. So you love
being an African. So
okay, listen to what you're telling me. This land right here is a land that your mother, your father, and your grandparents were born on, and you don't even love it. You don't even love it, but you love Africa.
What were the names of your Blackfoot ancestors since you're so Blackfoot? You can't give me a name, sister.
What you think? My grandmother, my great grandmother, my grandmother Ella, my grandmother Sharon, my grandfather Riley, my grandmother Teresa Red. Baby, we are Blackfoot in Osage. We come from this land. No one comes from Africa. And guess what? We grew and we formed this land. And we fought for this land. I can take my grandmother back to the 1800s. My great grandmother got me to the 1800s, like 1825. I can go back that far. We still trying to go back far.
Where were they before that?
They were right here on this land. Ain't nobody been from no Africa. Dr. Umar Johnson. Prove that they were from Africa. You cannot prove it. I'm not going to claim a foreign land when my land is right here. You're not going to brainwash me to get me off this land.
If you listen, you told me you can go back to 1825. So you can go back to Frederick Douglass being 5 years old. Okay, I got you. You can go back to Frederick Douglass being 5. But you don't know nothing about them people before 1845. And let me tell you why.
Do you know of yours back before 1825?
Let me tell you why you don't know nothing about those people before 1825.
Because they was in Africa.
Thank you.
No, they was not in no Africa. They were right here. They were right here. They were right here.
She says because they was in Africa, that's why she doesn't know. But then she says, no, they wasn't. Well, hold on. What do you think about that part?
She was being facetious.
You don't
She
think
was
that
being
like even in that being facetious that she could realize that there is some flaws in her logic? Like she was logical. You know what? She probably just being facetious. She's bought into this Kool-Aid, huh?
I think she was just being facetious because she knows the argument. She knows what she knows Dr. Umar's position. She knows most black people's position. You know,
Man.
She's arguing against it, but she knows what he is trying to convince her of. So at that particular moment, she's just being facetious. I know you just gonna say it. I know you're gonna say because we was in Africa.
Man,
and then when he laughs, that's when she was like, "Oh shit, I went too far." No, I ain't agreeing with that.
Man, that was crazy because it's almost like, you know, when I hear my dear brothers and sisters who are from, you know, different faith traditions fighting for their traditions, but at least, you know, the best of them went to school and also they've been reared in it, or gone to school to kind of like with Christian apologetics. This is indigenous. Even I heard her at one point say Indian, and she was like indigenous, like she corrected. I don't know if she doesn't use the word Indian, but it slipped out like, oh, Indian. I mean, indigenous.
They're not supposed to use the word Indian. They're supposed to use the word. Now that's what I was saying. In these various camps, because if you really start dealing with all of the various camps of the Indian, you know, I don't have the right word. I call them the anything but African folk. They all pick one word and they all say, this is the word. Now, if you riding with us, this is the word. You got, and even in this chat room, there's a brother in here, I think his name is Robert something, but he's been making these comments. I ain't no Indian, I'm native.
Oh, Robert Rand?
Yeah.
Oh, that's why he said she was being facetious, because that's his homegirl.
Okay. But again, that's why I'm saying.
No, I'm just saying he's his homegirl. I'm not sure if he really is.
Right. But in each of these cults, maybe I shouldn't call them cults. In each of these groups, each group is like they all took one chapter from Dane Calloway.
One chapter.
And they all, like, if you say I'm Aboriginal, there is an ideology around why Aboriginal is the correct and proper term. And they will tell you why you don't use Native. You don't use Indian. See, Indian, that's them red folk. That ain't us. We Aboriginal. Then you go to a Native American group and they'll say, I'm not Aboriginal. That's an improper term. Don't call me that. And it just, every one of them, it's just as many branches as it is Christianity.
Man, it's sad because, like you said, they've kind of brought in all of the. I'm saying this part, like they've kind of like, I'm going to say, you spoke to something earlier that I spoke about yesterday when I identify FBA as a cult, and kind of like the MAGA crowd. I spoke about on the show a few days ago about the cult of FBA. MAGA had kind of attracted all these ragtag Christian fundamentalists, KKK, white extremists, pseudoscientific people. And FBA has, in its own way, attracted these pseudoscientific, pretending, pseudo indigenous, pseudo ADOS rejects, like you know, like in a red pill manosphere, people who are just in a lot of hurt and a lot of pain and a lot of extremism. They both, MAGA attracted extremists to support Trump, and Tariq Nasheed has attracted a bunch of these Dane Calloway rejects, or it's crazy because I've heard this other guy. I can't remember what he was actually speaking about, but he's one of these indigenous people as well. Oh no, he has a little different style, but he used the same type of hypnosis that Dane Calloway does, with the music behind it and these altered images that kind of like seep into your psyche, that really have you believe in these things. So I really feel for our people. So even if I might laugh or something like that, I'll be honest with you, it's really hurtful. I mean, like to me, like the dear sisters fighting out of a major state of ignorance. You know what I mean? I don't even think Umar's having fun. I think Umar might be laughing at times, but you know, I mean, again, Umar's still a fraud. But I think he's like, I'm in disbelief. You know what I mean? I'm in disbelief that we are this, like Umar saying, damn, we messed up. we really messed up. You know, because I mean, a person even a person like Umar can see when we really messed up. You know, I mean, like, damn, they real far gone. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, doesn't mean he's yeah, go ahead. You about to say something?
No, I agree. I mean, and you know, if we get there, I mean, he said as much.
Lord of Slaughter, I would like that. Lord of Slaughter, I mean, it's like, I don't know if you seem to be very extreme. I mean, like extreme in the African position, though. I mean, like, or the Kemetic position. I don't, you know, like you're like the antithesis of the indigenous people. you're like the Afrocentric version. I'm not even gonna call you Afrocentric, but yeah, you seem to be very extreme though, Lord of Slaughter. Like tribalism created the non-African races. Like, I mean, and then you make these statements like, I'm just curious. like you like, is that like a comedic figure? Like, it's like a comedic figure, like Haru or something.
I can't.
I think that's like
I
think that's like a silhouette of Haru.
Oh,
so again, yeah, it's like a silhouette. It looks like of Haru maybe.
I thought
so
it was Middle Eastern.
And Lord of Slaughter, don't go too far over the other side. You know what I mean? I mean, I just think that's, and then they got, I guess the slaughter part is the knife is in the hand. I mean, I guess that's pretty extreme there. I'm Tame. I'm in Sierra Leone? I don't know. Robert Rand. Just African. Yeah, so I don't know what Lord of Slaughter is saying, but let's see where we go.
Americans have African ancestry. Do you know that?
Dr. Umar, let me say something, Dr. Umar. Let me tell you something, Dr. Umar. What you're doing, when you call yourself an African,
that Native Americans have African ancestry. Yes or no? Are you aware?
They have Indigenous American
No,
ancestry.
Indigenous African. Are you aware of that?
Some may do, but mine don't. Some may.
She says some maybe. Like she knows she can't give him any evidence per her response to him, but she hate to be like people gonna keep telling me it's not about hate, it's not about Afrophobia, but she's so matter of fact about her not being African, even though she makes it very clear that she doesn't have the evidence. You know what I mean? Like she makes it very clear that she doesn't have the evidence.
And she don't have a problem with not having evidence.
Say it again.
I said, and she don't have a problem with not having evidence. She proud of not having evidence.
Because she doesn't want the evidence. No matter, I feel pretty sorry for Umar, although he's a fraud. I feel sorry for him in his argument. I mean, maybe Umar knows that. I mean, like, do you think you're gonna change her mind for real, or you just like having fun? Was it sport? I mean, like, really, like, literally?
I think it's sport.
You think it's sport? Okay. At this point, it's just sport. Okay, I get it, because I mean she's serious, doubling down on her delusions, doubling down on the delusions.
If yours do, that's fine. If yours do, that's fine.
Sister Nakia, the problem is you're not well read. You need more historical education.
I don't need.
You know what's funny, because the person in the chat who said that they who I guess also talking about their you know what? Did the person I saw something in the chat, the person Robert Rand, were they saying that they're indigenous to Sierra Leone?
At this point, I'm not sure. I don't now. I'll say this. Let me say this very clear. I apparently I misspoke. He's real pissed off, and I told him that I would apologize, and I told him that I would correct the record. I thought he was the one that said, because I saw a comment. I thought it was him that said, "I ain't no Indian, I'm native," or "I ain't native, I'm Indian," whatever it was. And now he didn't flew off the handle. "I never said that, mofo. You better get that, mofo." I'm like, look, bruh, I done told you. I will correct the record. I asked him, "What is it that you said?" And he's still running off with the mofos. So I hit the block button. I'll unblock him once I figure out how to, or whatever. But there was somebody. There was a comment. Like I said, if I misconstrued it and I shouldn't have attributed to him, that's fine. I don't have a problem, backing that up and correcting that. My point was not necessarily to nail it to him. My point was there are people who associate themselves with each different school of thought, and each term is associated with a different one. A native person don't like autochthonous people. Autochthonous people don't like Indians. Indian people don't like aboriginals, and so on and so forth. Cool. If that's not him, that's cool. I don't know why he got to blow his top. But like I said, I feel like I have corrected the record if that was, what I'm saying, the thing that made him lose his mind in the chat room.
Yeah. I don't know if yeah. So okay. So yeah, Robert Rand, I don't know what you did to Cuz, because I don't think Cuz normally block people, but you was going off some kind of hard, I guess. Let him correct it, Rand. Look, Robert Rand. Look, if he made a mistake, just correct it. You know what I mean? Let him correct it. Give him time to correct it before you call him people.
I don't need the white man's history. I don't need the white man's history. It's a lie to me and tell me.
Listen to me, Queen. The problem with a lot of you young folks is you get your education from uneducated YouTubians. That's the problem. You don't read books by real scholars.
This is before YouTube. This is Dr. Umar. I don't know what you think I've been watching, but I'm telling you what my family told me. I'm not going back to YouTube. I've talked to my family and they told me, and I've asked them, if I call my grandmother right now, my grandmother gonna say, baby, we is not no African. That's what my grandmother said.
Everybody over here came from somewhere else. And Sister Nakia, you said, it sounded like you were making an argument that slavery could not have happened because Africa is so close to Europe, and the white man to enslave blacks. He could have enslaved us in Africa. Are you leaving out the fact that the white man thought he was going to uncharted, uninhabited territory? Isn't that the
because I think we're gonna call this a wrap, right? I think so.
Yeah, that's
okay.
cool. It's gonna keep going.
Yeah, I think it was pretty. Y'all go and I don't know whose station that is. Whose station is this? It looked like it's Umar station. The Prince of Pan African. Okay, well, very interesting clip there. She closed out with the famous baby, we always been here. We always been here. Like what? Or like I mean, look, why they all say the same thing? Like
that's when you get into that cult. Go ahead.
You know what's crazy? They say the same thing, but I know brothers who would just call themselves Pan-Africanists. All of a sudden, out of thin air, now they're all their aunties and their great, and it's always a woman. You ever notice that? Why is it always a woman? Like they never say my great uncle. They all hey. Because you can trust women more than you can trust men. So it is you have a softer landing for women. I never, ever hear them say that they're going to start saying it now. My great uncle, look, but they always say my aunt, my great grandmama, my mother, my grandmother told me we was always here. I guess they said the sisters of the wise women. You know, the triple state god. What is it? The triple state goddesses. You know, I don't know. It's like they never ever say that that their uncle said it or their father or their great grandfather. It's always my grandmother told me, and then she said, "Baby, we always been here. I don't care what 1,000 historians say." Because most of them are men. No, I don't know if most of them men. I don't care what they say. You know, I'm just curious though. Like, why? What's up with all these other black grandmothers who are historians, and these black men that are historians who say something that says something totally different? Why doesn't the historical record back up what they're saying? And these are black people, and they've been saying it like I think just how you say her name, Drusilla Dungy Houston. When did she write that book? Drusilla Dungy. That thing came out a long time ago. I'm not saying that every piece of, No,
you're right. Wasn't that like the 1800s? Or no?
Yeah,
No, that was.
It's a long time ago. I bet you she didn't say that. And she probably looked like she could be. she look from this look at this picture, they could probably claim her. I ain't gonna lie. Look, they look like I ain't not lying. Huh? I'm looking at this picture. Yeah, like they could claim her. And look where look, check it out. They really try to claim her, but she said, look, she got all the stuff. Let me look. Mama Drusilla says in 1892 moved to Oklahoma City. Think about it. Within they're like she moved with the indigenous. You know what I mean? Like you know, I'm just saying, let me stop. I'm having a little fun here, y'all. But Mama Drusilla Dungy Houston, she said, we from Africa. Hold up. When was her time? She was born in 1876. And she transitioned in 1941. When did she write the book? I can't even remember the name of the book. Was it Kushite something? I can't remember. Y'all help me out.
Was it the Amazing Ethiopians or I can't remember the title. The Amazing Kushite Ethiopian Empire, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So, I mean, I'll turn it over to you, but I'm just thinking, man, like, why is it always somebody's grandmother who told him this, and this becomes enough information? And why is never somebody daddy? Why didn't? Yeah, go ahead. Maybe that's why I show Speed had the wrong account. See, because I show Speed daddy told him that we always been here, and he said, "You go ahead with that BS." You know, maybe it was his auntie. He would have believed her. This is funny, fam. This is funny games.
We get ready to close, right?
Yeah. So the wonderful Ethiopians of the ancient Kushite Empire. You were close there, cuz.
There you go.
Close.
There you go. There you go.
A scholar of scholars.
Thank you. I don't know. Let me see. As a close, let me say this. If you run this whole like go back and listen to the video, listen to the conversation, run the whole thing back, and you will see it's impossible to miss. It's four different like arguments that's on loop, 4 moves. First, you can't prove it, then the test is fake, then we're indigenous. Then it's all manufactured. And with everyone, I mean, literally, Dr. Umar boxes them all up. Each one collapses the second it touches the historical record. So now I'm not saying that Umar made like absolutely 100% perfect arguments. He got some things. He messed up a few times. But he nailed her on the historical record when it comes to who we are as African people, what happened during the Transatlantic Slave Trade, how white folk managed and manipulated and moved on the African coast, and how they moved over here with the Native American population. All of that was pretty much spot on. Now, like I said, I can't make a conversation. I can't make an argument as to whether or not Nakia and the brother Ernie, I think it was, I can't tell what they honestly believe in their heart. It sounds like they believe this stuff. It's unfortunate if they honestly believe it. I would almost feel better if they didn't believe it. I'd rather think they were trying to run a con.
Really?
I really would, because if they were trying to run a con, then it's like they know the truth and they're just trying to exploit people. That's bad. But at least you know the truth. If you don't know the truth, if this is what you really think and believe, and that's why you do all this pushback when people say, well, you know what science says. I don't believe science. You know what DNA says. I don't believe DNA. Hey, that is a problem that really cannot be solved with education. That's a problem that cannot be solved with academics. No amount of scholars, no amount of history, no amount of books, no amount of library research. We could force you to sit in a library for a month. You still gonna come out with this belief that you are a Native American. I can't do nothing with that. I ain't got the qualifications. You know, my expertise stops at teaching. That's why I say I would rather think that you know the truth, like Elijah Muhammad said, and you're just trying to exploit people, than for you to be that far down the rabbit hole.
I mean,
he called that the triple stages of darkness.
I mean,
that's what I'll say. Go ahead.
I mean, it's funny that you say. I mean, Elijah Muhammad he can't be. I mean, that's like the pot calling the kettle black. I mean, everybody got some wisdom. You know what I mean? According to them, the white man come from. Hold up. Let me. I'm just saying. You know what I mean? I leave it alone. I'm leaving.
Right. I did not rereference everything that I just said.
No. I agree. No.
5,
I agree
10,
with.
What was that? 5, 10, and 85. That's that. I love that formula that he threw out there. That's all.
No. I agree. No, I agree with what you brought forth. I just thought it would be opportune for me to say. At least Elijah Muhammad, a person who gave you a whole new religion, then gave you. Look, I'm not saying like we shouldn't have had a new one. I'm just saying. I know some people don't like it because Islam is Islam. I know some people don't like it because Master Wallace Fard Muhammad looked like he might be a pretending. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know what to say here. You know what I mean? But I will say, as Lord Slaughter, I think I almost agree with you on something today. Umar is intelligent, but out of control socially. You know what? I will go with you. I won't even challenge it. I know some people challenge the idea of what's intelligence and all that. I won't disagree from a Eurocentric frame to help that from a Eurocentric frame that Umar is not intelligent. I would suggest that he is intelligent from European measures, but he is socially out of control. Because I know my African-centered brothers and sisters like he's not intelligent from an African-centered perspective. But so I'm going to say from a Eurocentric perspective, he does have a level of intelligence. His IQ was probably above average, at least 20 points. Now I know from an African-centered perspective, people say your intelligence has to do with everything, how you treat people, how you do this, how you do that. But from a Eurocentric standard, I agree with you, Lord of Slaughter. You got. I didn't read all your comments, Lord of Slaughter, but I do know that you are a bit extreme at times. But I do agree with that, brother. Cuz I know you weren't finished, were you?
No, it's finished. I'm good.
You finished? All right. Yeah. So brother Cuz is finished, and I'm just finished. I do appreciate, and we appreciate your time today, family. We just kind of thought about doing this last minute to have a discussion. We appreciate it. It's been a long day. Make sure you like this video, you thumb up this video. This was just some time for us to kind of like relax, because I know this thing is really long. This was more some time for us to kind of chop it up and dissect some things in real time. And maybe we'll be back sometime soon. Me and Cuz typically do Saturdays. Make sure you again thumb up this video, like this video, hype this video, all the things. Make sure you follow Cuz over there at The Proper Perspective. If you're on this particular chat, if you're on Brother Cuz's chat at The Proper Perspective or on his Facebook account, make sure you come over to Dr. Dennis Assar Winkler and subscribe over here as well. We will continue to bring you breakdowns and reviews. I had fun with my elder cousin, from my elder cousin. Hopefully I see him in Virginia not too far. I don't know if I'm gonna see him in Virginia in a couple of weeks, maybe several weeks or not. But I hope I see you or some part of the family down there. And a few he can't commit to that, but nonetheless,
no, I'm like, is that the
July
family reunion?
The third week of July?
Yeah. I think I gotta, I don't know. I gotta check with the people, but I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try.
Oh, okay. Or maybe we'll do a live or something. I don't know. But anyway, so family, like up the video, thumb up the video. Until next time, family, we say peace and power.
When you claim you're African, you're going to get your mind back.
If a generalized black woman is doing this and being this, that is irresponsible.
No, when you claim you're African, you're going to get your mind back. Showing me,
black and proud. Claim you're African, black and proud.
I think that if
when you claim you're African, you're going to get your mind back.
A page,
what's the status of people with half FBA?
I'm telling you. When you claim you're African, you're going to get your mind back.
That's why I was laughing, because
claim you're African.
I'm not saying the framework doesn't do a thing, but
become a part of it.
We've been
forward to black men
become a part of it.
being in control. We
become a part of it.
Only
embrace it.
That one of the best stories I've ever heard.
Embrace it. When you claim you're African, you're going to get your mind back.
Mental growth takes place. You've been misled by leadership, for instance, that thinking you can consume.
When you claim you're African, you're going to get your mind back. Black and I'm proud. Claim you're African. Black and I'm proud. I'm telling you.